Good afternoon and welcome, everybody. This would be the Jeff Cameron Show right here on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Woohoo! Libations Friday, loosey-goosey edition of the program. I'm Jeff, that's Tom. We're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you go to listen live, either streaming free always. Don't miss anything, but if you were to miss something, remember we've got all 3 hours to be posted for you upon the conclusion of the program, both on iTunes and in our own audio vault. Either place, you'll find the program, and you'll do so with a limited commercial interruption. That's a good thing. It's brought to you by, with a limited commercial interruption, as I say, by CarltonDean.com. Go to CarltonDean.com. Learn more about what I'm talking about. Making money, commercial real estate. Woohoo! Email the show if you want, jcs@979espnradio.com. Thanks for those emails. Keep them coming. Got one about fixing the problem of tanking in the NBA. I appreciated that email. Like the interaction. On Twitter, you can follow @JCameronShow. You can use the WTSM app. It's a good one. It's free. Free's good. You use that for both iPhones and Android. Doesn't matter. Also on YouTube. Hello, everybody. If you're watching the show, it's go to YouTube, type in ESPN Tallahassee. You're good to go. Big win last night for the Noles. Big old win right there. You know, it was weird. Yesterday's show, if you missed it, or you were listening intermittently, you may have missed the kind of sense. I know Tom picked up on the vibe I was given there, that I thought maybe they were going to go up there and play well, and I was kind of making fun of myself for that. I said, there's no real evidence that they're going to go up there and face a team that has been dominant. I mean, Louisville has been as dominant as a team can be in this conference. It's such a good conference. You just don't see teams put together the record that Louisville has. And last night they had the pitcher of the year in all likelihood going for them, a guy that's been very, very good for some sustained periods of time and shut down many an offense. And so you thought, well, what about the matchup makes you feel good? I don't know. I just felt like this team is annoying enough to want to dangle the carrot, as I said, to give you reason to believe when you ought not. Because, you know, that's the thing, right, is to give you that glimmer of hope, to get your hopes up. And they did it. You know, they didn't pitch well. Cole Sands continues to just pretty much suck. And yet they overcome his performance and go out and swing the bats and bounce back against a team that just shuts most people down. So bravo. Good job out of the bullpen as well. And to think about the runs scored, I mean, there were numbers last night Louisville hasn't given up in 2 years. So, all right.
Hope is a good thing, maybe the best of things, and no good thing ever dies.
Right, and you know what? Yeah, that's accurate with this team right now because the hope resides in the offense, and you got to give kudos to Mike Martin Jr., who's the hitting instructor and really the guy that works with these guys on their approach and does the scouting of opposing pitchers and kind of dictates terms to guys about the way they're going to approach the offense for the night. But to see them do that to that guy and to this team in that place where they have been magical is really surprising and exciting, and really your hope for the postseason because they're not going to pitch their way to Omaha. They're going to have to slug.
They're going to have to slug. That's something that we said leading up to this weekend, and actually we've been saying for the last few weeks. If you're going to go into even a super regional, because we're not hosting, so if you're going to find your way into a super regional, you're likely going to have to hit your way there, seeing as you're going to have to face a 2 or 3 seeds ace on a Friday night, looking ahead to that particular weekend. We'll see. The number one thing on the docket outside of watching Holton, and hopefully he can continue the trend, which started last week, a really heavy-hitting team, which Louisville isn't. Wake Forest was. And he shut them down for a complete game shutout, gave up, 4 hits I think he scattered?
4 hits, no runs, yep.
Yeah. Okay, can he be that impressive or something close to it again to where he gives you 7? And you say, oh, at least somebody we have eats innings and gives the bats a chance to do what they do best. Then I want to see Carp. Does Carp come in today? Does Carp come in tomorrow? He's had 2 good outings in a row. I know that Parrish is starting tomorrow night. That's a 7:30 game on ESPNU. But Carp has had 2 good outings in a row, one against Pacific I don't care about, but then another one against the aforementioned Wake Forest when we continued the game last Saturday, a heavier hitting team. because I'm looking for anything. Last night's bullpen performance tells me maybe they can patch it together.
Well, they can patch it together. They
For
got enough.
a game.
Yeah.
But you need another guy that can help you in a third game because, again, make no mistake, super regionals are more traditional, but a regional, you're likely playing a third or a fourth baseball game. So who the hell is getting you outs in those games?
Drew Carlton, who pitched well last night, and they gave him a chance in a leverage situation, and he gives you 3+ innings, gets the save that way, and gives up just the 1 run, was pretty good. Look, it's not going to be an ideal situation. I will say this. I'm hesitant to ever say that somebody's going to get something turned around when I've seen sustained levels of suck for a prolonged period of time. But I called it in after the game last night. I called up there to talk to some people that would be in the know. And I wanted to know, what was Sands throwing? Where was he topping out? What were his – because what's wrong, right? Because he's got stuff, Tom. We both admit he's got stuff. That's why the hope was so high for him coming into this season. Well, I'm looking at it right now. I got several texts back, and this is the one. They were talking about his outing, and the discussion centered around before the home run. You walk 2 and you hit a guy.
It sounds like the Paris start on Sunday, where
just,
the hardest hit ball in the first inning was the final out.
Right. It's
of
just
the inning.
you're frustrated, right? But here's the thing: he threw 93 to 94 with the fastball. All right, and he had a slider that hit 86. I mean, that's MLB stuff. That, like, if you throw 94 and you've got an 86 mile per hour slider that you can throw for strikes, you're getting people out. And they've got to be. If I'm Bell, I just am absolutely flummoxed because he's got stuff. It's still there. It's a mistake here. It's a walk there, followed by you get down. You get into a fastball count, 2-1, 3-1, 2-0, and you throw. Listen. That's anybody. They're going to be in trouble. He's got to find a way to get ahead sooner in counts, and he's got to execute pitches because he's got pitches. He's got stuff.
A lot of guys have stuff, but
I'm just saying,
they're not starting on a Thursday in this circumstance, but a Friday night.
Yeah, no, I understand, but they're not going to change the rotation. I mean, they don't look at him as the ace. He's just a weekend guy. They don't have a true ace. Holton would be that if they were going to name one that you'd say this is our ace. So, but they're not going to shake it up. Holton pitches tonight, and that's part of the good news here is that they got that win despite those runs given up by Sands and despite the fact that they were trailing in a place where you didn't think they'd come back, and they do. They rally all the way back. Offense is clicking on all cylinders. They dominate and come back and win a game that seemed unlikely at the moment. Now you get Holton, who's really pitched at times this year exceptionally well. Of course, his last outing was a picture-perfect dominating performance against the ACC's best offensive club. So let's see if he can sustain something there. You could win the series. And all that talk about, what are they going to do in the postseason? Are they going to get to the postseason? It goes by the wayside in a hurry. I don't think it means that you are of the mindset that they're about to go on a run to Omaha. But they got a shot.
A big win. I like the win. You don't want to ever give those back, and you needed this one just to help make everything easier over the next week and a half. ACC tournament, regional seeding, all that type of stuff. But does this really change the definition of who this team is? I don't think so. We knew what Sands was, and he delivered. We know what the Bats can be, and they delivered. We know what Carlton is, and he delivered. Now, if you want to say the middle bullpen arms have been coming along of late, if you want to continue to note that, Florida State defensively is playing much, much more consistent baseball, these are trends that are going in the positive direction. But I don't think last night's result, even though we were hitting against one of the best pitchers that this lineup is going to see all year long, anywhere, on any team.
That's right.
It doesn't fundamentally change what they need to do, what they need to be in order to make it to even a super regional.
Give 5.5 tonight if you're Cleveland against the Celtics, or do the Celtics say, this is our last chance, have to defend home court, have to get this win or else we're going to get swept, so therefore don't touch the -5 on the consensus pick?
I think the Celtics are going to say tonight is our last stand.
Without question.
And I think it doesn't matter. I would still lay the 5.5.
Well, here's what's interesting about that. Okay, so the Celtics are 53-29. You know that. They've been a good basketball team. They ended up the 1 seed for that reason. They're also 30-11 at home, and they're a team that typically plays really well there. They don't have an answer to LeBron James, and they don't have an answer for Cleveland going back to last year. This is not a good matchup for them. Frankly, there isn't a good matchup if you're facing Cleveland because they've got the world's best player and maybe the best player of all time. That said, They gave up a ton of baskets at the rim. I didn't know this until I was reading this morning. LeBron James, who shot very effectively, as you noted, well over 50% yet again, but was 1 of 8 as a jump shooter. So he just decided to forego the jump shot and go to the basket and either dunk or lay it in or get fouled. You can prevent that. I mean, it's hard, and you're going to leave some guys open, and maybe those guys beat you as Love did all day long from beyond the arc.
And LeBron's not in love with always having to go to the basket. He will distribute. That's the beauty of LeBron.
Yeah, so I'm going to have LeBron distributing and bet that either Kyrie or Love aren't going to hit shots at that rate. And if I lose, I lose. But it's not going to be because the best player in the world just continues to act like the best player in the world. I got to take him out of the equation here to some degree.
As best you can,
Well,
because he is the best player in the world.
That is a problem. It's not unlike when teams decided they were going to stop Michael Jordan, and then Scottie Pippen went off. Yeah, it happens.
But maybe, this was their chance in game 1, man, when he goes 1 from 8 in his jump shooting attempts, and maybe he goes 5 for 8 tonight, and then it doesn't matter.
They couldn't guard him, though, and he just blew past everybody, and it was embarrassing. And you can't have Olynyk out there looking like an ass. That's embarrassing, sir.
That guy's had a roller coaster of a postseason, hasn't he?
Well, I like the guy in that he's not a bad player, but he is what he is. He's not a guy that, he's this guy. He can't guard that guy.
We'll see, and the result will change whether or not it's true or not, and certainly the way he plays. But again, LeBron seemed like he had an axe to grind with this particular Boston team because of the way Boston-Cleveland was covered for the last 15, 20 games of the regular season. I think that continues. So angry LeBron gets what angry LeBron wants.
I don't feel like you and I have gambled enough this year. I'm tired of our non-gambling ways. I'm going to take the Celtics getting 5.5 tonight. We'll put it on the big board.
Okay. That sounds good to me.
A little 6-pack of something.
Big board.
Yeah, because...
Still got to take you shopping for
yeah, we still got plenty of beer coming my way, so that's all right. Let's just go ahead and float this out there. I'll take this 5.5. Here's the thing. I'll take the Celtics getting 5.5. Cleveland wins by 3. So I've got Cleveland winning the game. Series is curtains. It's over. Boston's got no shot. But they'll hang tough tonight. And I'll say that Isaiah Thomas goes for 36.
And he has a shot from behind the arc to tie the game. It goes off back iron at the buzzer.
He's exhausted. He can't get his legs into it.
Oh, yeah. And that forlorn look is
heartbreaking.
They realize the series,
she's
over. Done.
Yeah, it's all over. But I'll do it. I want to make it interesting. And then elsewhere, Pittsburgh and Ottawa. Ottawa up 2-1, stunningly. Who you got?
I got Ottawa, and here's why. Pittsburgh's doing the goalie dance
That
again.
always works for him.
It does, but Ottawa only needs to score 2 goals, it seems. The Penguins have scored 2 goals or fewer in their last 5 postseason games. It's a miracle they're in the East Finals, and Ottawa's not any good, but they do play the boa constrictor game. If they get the first goal, good night. Good night. They play the trap. You can have Crosby and Malkin. The book says that the trap is going to work more often than it's not if you get the lead. Now, if they go down 1-0, well, that could be a problem.
Bet number 2. Give me the Penguins tonight.
Okay.
In the game, just straight up.
Straight up. Yeah, that's fine.
Straight up. Give me Pittsburgh
Hockey's
tonight.
so unpredictable.
Another 6-pack on the line.
Woo!
Oh, we got a good start going to a
got the
Libations
clammy
Friday
feeling.
here, buddy. All right. Jeff Cameron Show continues momentarily. Hang tight.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You put your mower through a lot. All that back and forth can add up to thousands of miles. That's like mowing cross country. Gravely commercial mowers are built for all-day performance, helping you get the job done mile after mile. Gravely, built to mow the distance.
Get your Gravely motor only at TNT Supercenter, your one-stop shop for work or play. 14585 Highway 19 South, Thomasville, Georgia. TNTSupercenter.com.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck, always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Participating Ford dealer for details through 6/30/17.
Memorial Day savings at the Home Depot mean you can really clean up. Save up to 40% on appliance special buys, like a Samsung high-efficiency top-load washer and steam electric dryer with platinum finish, just $648 each. You save over $500 on the pair. And just like that, Laundry Day got a whole lot better. Nobody beats our prices, guaranteed. With Memorial Day savings at the Home Depot. More saving, more doing. Valid through June 7th, U.S. only while supplies last. Gas dryer extra. See store for details.
We lead busy lives. That's why Superlube offers quick and convenient service with no appointment necessary at any of our 19 area locations. And remember, Superlube offers a free top-off service between oil changes, checking and topping off fluids, and tire pressure. But did you know that right now when you buy one wiper blade, you get one free, just in time for Tallahassee's rainy season? Superlube it every 3 months or 3,000 miles.
How I love to Superlube my car, yes sir!
The City of Tallahassee Utilities reminds you that it'll be summertime before you know it, and summer's when we all benefit from positive environmental practices, like saving energy, water, and money. Because after all, it's all connected. When your home is energy efficient, you save money on your utility bill, but you also help the environment, because using less energy saves precious natural resources. Here are a few simple tips. Easy things you can do to use less energy. In the summertime, set your AC thermostat to 78 degrees, and even a little higher when you're away from home. You'll be amazed at the money you'll save. Close shades, drapes, and blinds during the day. It keeps the house a lot cooler. Choose the proper AC fan setting. Put it on auto, not on. Auto saves energy, on runs continuously, and that runs into money. And while you're at it, schedule a free energy audit with the City of Tallahassee Utilities to identify low-cost and no-cost ways to make your home more energy efficient. You'll save energy, water, and money, and you'll help the environment too, because after all, it's all connected. A message from the #1 public utility in America. Learn more at talgov.com/YOU.
Have you ever noticed when you report an accident or a claim to an insurance company, they are very eager to get you to one of their approved body shops. They say that they guarantee the shops work, but what they're really saying is the shop works for them, not the customer. So choose a shop that is working for and looking out for you, someone you trust. It's your choice. Lisa's Paint and Body.
License number MP46050.
Have you thought about becoming a member of Killearn Country Club and haven't yet made up your mind? Well, now is your chance to be a member for a day without any commitment. That's right. You can be a guest at Killearn Country Club and experience all the amenities of a regular membership. Take a dip in the pool, hit some balls with a partner on the tennis courts, or play a round of golf. Come see all that Killearn Country Club has to offer. Guest dates are Monday, May 15th and Sunday, May 21st. Making up your mind just became a lot easier. Contact Lori Wilkie, General Manager at lwilkie@KillearnCountryClub.com today to reserve your pass. Now is your chance to experience Killearn Country Club's Junior Olympic-sized pool, recently new surface tennis courts, and the 18-hole magnificent championship golf course. Don't wait. Contact Lori Wilkie today to make your reservation for either Monday, May 15th or Sunday, May 21st. That's lwilkie@KillearnCountryClub.com.
You're listening to The Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. Hello. Messing around with the camera in this first hour, huh?
Well, I showed the people the bets were on the big board.
I like that you did that. The bets are on the big boards. Or the big board. You know, people must wonder if when they look at the big board, they see the Michigan State Spartan, Boba Fett, and then also, what's his face? What's the dude's name?
Sparty?
No, the stupid ass. What's his name?
Oh, Mel Kiper?
Mel Kiper.
Oh, my God. That's classic.
Big board.
The stupid ass.
The stupid ass.
Like the drawings of you?
No. That was bad. I remembered Mel. I couldn't remember Kiper. And I was like, dumbass. Which one is?
Big board.
I mean, for that matter, let's just make why I call him a dumbass, if you would. Montage, which is my favorite.
A draft analyst for ESPN dropped him on a make-believe website page.
That's going to be the measurables that ultimately determine where Manziel goes in May. Right now, he does not belong in the top 25. If he beats Alabama again, everybody's going to say, oh, boy, move him up. No. You're number one. Who does Houston take? I'm going to go with Johnny Manziel. He's going in the top 5 somewhere. Hey, what's wrong with number 1? Johnny Manziel is a magician on the field. If he eats, sleeps, and drinks football 365 days a year, to me, he can be a very good to great player in the NFL.
Draft analysis.
Oh, boy. Speaking of the NFL and sorry asses, the Bucs got a new backup quarterback, but you got to have one. And most of them aren't very good. I mean, really, you won't find too many good backup quarterbacks. This is a salary cap league. You can't afford them. But Fitzpatrick makes his way to Tampa after that abomination of a season a year ago. But I would rather have an experienced backup than a guy that's never taken a snap in the NFL. So, all right.
Yeah, but, it just seems that every year when Fitzpatrick is done, he finds a way to start a game. And that's what worries me, is there's some sort of Fitzpatrick jinx out there.
I would tell you that had the Tennessee Titans signed Fitzpatrick, you would guarantee playing time there because their starting quarterback can't stay on the field. He's brittle-boned. I don't know what to tell you. He's tough, certainly, but he just can't stay healthy. I don't know.
It's a good thing he doesn't have Tampa Bay's offensive line.
Yeah. Well, despite all the built-in advantages that he has there in Tennessee, his inability to keep from breaking bones or hurting himself to miss significant amounts of time has failed him. Unlike the quarterback in Tampa Bay, who despite taking a beating week in and week out is always getting right back up and making plays.
And he has built-in advantages of being an athlete. He's faster, quicker.
Softer. So Fitzpatrick will probably not get that opportunity to get into the game because we're talking about a man who would play on broken legs, unlike the guy in Tennessee. But that's unfair of me, admittedly. Just saying. Fitzpatrick's like, I'll sign in Tampa. I'll never get out there. And if you're a backup quarterback, you never want to be out there. Not at 34 years old coming off the season that he had, right? He has to have been shaken to the core that the belief system that allowed that guy to survive in the league this long is very admirable, despite limited success. But at that point, I would think even a guy like that who's had a lot of belief, he's got to be questioning whether or not he can play because he was horrible last year.
I'm 34. Everything hurts. Maybe going to Tampa isn't a bad idea. Maybe I can find some other things to get involved in when I go down to Tampa.
Well, he's smart enough to know that although we will, at the right times, hold Tampa aloft into a nice light, it is also a place that can turn a good man into a bad man in a hurry. And you've got to be very careful as to where you tread in that fair city. So given that he's a Harvard guy, I think he'll pick up on that. He'll do the requisite reading. I can go here. Oh, this is Ybor. I don't need to be here. They'll end up writing about me with a hooker somehow. I need to go over here. Can't go here.
Only use Dale Mabry on Sundays, okay? Or if you want to go to a Yankees spring training game. Other than that, stay off of it.
I think I think my favorite Tampa, bring you down, take a good man, turn him into a bad guy kind of thing. Although I don't know that this was ever a good guy, and based on what was reported with his Holly Berry marriage. But David Justice, 3 o'clock in the morning, buying crack on the side of the road, if you recall. You forgot all about that, didn't you?
Oh, my God. How long ago was that?
Well, that shirtless dude is running off into the woods as the cops are chasing him, and then he was in his Mercedes, and Justice goes, I was asking for directions. My man had things had spiraled at that point. But you know what? Obviously, old David kept it together. You look at what was the year?
It looks like it was 2007 from original reports here. I'm going to dig further. That was the first thing that popped up. But I remember you and Matt talking about this when I was a college kid.
Well, because it was awesome. My favorite part about it, see, this was the time when you could do this and players would do this. They would get in trouble. And, I don't know. It seems now that if a guy gets in trouble, somebody's got extra footage of it, right? Like there's 17 people with a camera, and your denials are quickly thwarted. People will post, oh, no, he was here. Yeah, this definitely happened. Look, here, I shot this on my camera. So you don't see it as much. But back then, which is 10 years ago now, unless like there was a dash cam or something, and a lot of times there is, but it wasn't all over the internet. It was a guy saying this is what happened and a cop writing a report, and there weren't people in an apartment complex filming as it happened, or it seems that way anyhow. But he denied it and all of that, and then it was just really odd. And the way it was described is, again, he said he was getting directions, and the window was down. It was a known dealer, and that guy was running off. Yeah, that was how that story went. And I just love that. I'm getting directions, man. What's the problem?
Hey, man, GPS really isn't taking off yet. And the Garmin's too expensive.
Wasn't in 07, you're right. How long has GPS been a thing, like a common thing in cars now, where if you buy a new car, certainly he was driving a Mercedes. If you buy a new Mercedes now, or even a beautiful fully loaded Pathfinder like I have from Kraft Nissan, they all come with those. So,
man, life was good if you were a Garmin executive or
and
any
then
of the other companies.
Then it was like, son of a.
And then smartphones had them all built in. And you're like, yep, the game is up.
I've told you that for guys like me who have had a poor sense of direction since birth, this is a beautiful development. My brother, on the other hand, had a distinct advantage over almost everybody that he would have encountered because he has an instinctual knack for knowing which way is up at all times. We called him Magellan as kids. We knew he was getting you home. It didn't matter. Pop him down in the middle of the desert. He'd find his way back home. Didn't need directions for nothing. The river is running that way, so we've got to be here.
So what you're
saying
is
always amazing.
If he was caught around some guy for crack, the police officers would say, you need directions?
They would have been, sir, try that nonsense on somebody else. You're John, and we know you.
John the Compass.
He is. That's actually, I like that. Almost like, a Roman gladiator.
He's always facing true north.
John the Compass. It's the Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You can tell a lot about a tractor by its warranty. That's why Mahindra makes the toughest tractors on earth. With steel, not plastic. Backed by the industry's best limited powertrain warranty, period. Not 5 years, not 6 years, but a full 7 years on select models. No wonder the other guys are green with envy.
No money down, 0% interest, and no payments until July. Available at TNT Supercenter.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Your Ford compliant, eco-friendly diesel engine with MCRD technology. MCRD stands for Mahindra's Common Rail Diesel Technology, allowing a Mahindra tractor to pass strict emission standards without the use of a diesel particulate filter. Bottom line to you, less maintenance, less downtime, and less cost. TNT and the Mahindra 4540 tractor, making the competition green with envy.
Hey, Bugsy, you hear the news about Vinny?
Yeah, it's a real shame he owed money to the IRS and they finally cut up with him.
Just like Al Capone.
If the IRS can get the Capone, imagine what they can do to little old Vinny, huh?
Poor cat, he was on top of the world, and bada boom, bada bing.
What Vinny needs now is an offer he can't refuse.
Hey, you got a tax problem? Does the IRS claim you owe them a bunch of dough? They can get you too. So call the tax relief line now and learn if you qualify to negotiate your $10,000 plus IRS tax debt for up to a 75% savings. Don't be like Al or Vinny and get busted. Make this free call now. Learn how you may be able to pay the IRS less.
Call now. 888-789-5042. 888-789-5042, 888-789-5042, 888-789-5042.
Live market pricing is better than ever at Werner Hyundai during the Better Than Ever sales event going on now. You'll get the best prices guaranteed. Get up to $10,000 in total savings off a new 2017 Hyundai Sonata or up to $7,000 in total savings on a new 2017 Santa Fe Sport. You heard right. That's why it's the Better Than Ever sales event. These are the best deals in the 30-year history of Hyundai. Werner Hyundai does quick credit approvals over the phone and offers online delivery. Want to test drive first? Then take a better test drive. They'll pay for your gas if you go to them or deliver straight to you for a remote test drive. And when you test drive, get a free smartwatch or MP3 player while supplies last. Enjoy a worry-free purchase with a 3-day buyback program and get Hyundai Assurance with America's best warranty. A 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty and 2 years free maintenance. Why shop anywhere else? Werner has the best customer service, test drives, pricing, and warranty. Werner Hyundai, 252 Capitol Circle Southwest, or check them out online at wernerhyundai.com. Must approve finance through Hyundai Motor Finance with approved credit. See dealer for details. Sonata stock number GH329871. Santa Fe stock number HD492731.
You know you love the Dan Le Batard Show on ESPN Radio.
Wait a minute, I got to stop everything. Very important. I just got a very important email from a high-ranking ESPN executive. And it reads, Ditka fell asleep on Countdown once. But it's got a question mark. And I don't know if this guy is a sloppy punctuator or if there is question about the falling asleepness of Mike Ditka on Countdown.
Ditka fell asleep on Countdown once?
Mm-hmm. It's got a question mark. I will email him back and I will get an answer to you expediently.
Sounds right.
The Dan Le Batard Show, weekdays at 10 a.m. on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Tallahassee Sports Center.
I'm Lee Gordon. Florida State Baseball's final road series of the year got off on the right foot last night. The Noles beat second-ranked Louisville 12-9 on Thursday. Florida State with 14 hits en route to the victory. Same two teams will do it again tonight at 6 o'clock. Softball opens up the regionals tonight at home. They'll take on Princeton. Game time there is 7 p.m. Well, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers now have a backup quarterback for Jameis Winston after they lost Mike Glennon to the Bears. They've signed veteran quarterback Ryan Fitzpatrick. Some of the NFL rookies are just starting to sign. The Jaguars have locked in Leonard Fournette. He's got a 4-year deal, fully guaranteed, with no offset language, no word yet on the value of that deal. NBA tonight, Cleveland and Boston in Game 2 of the Eastern Conference Finals. Cavs lead at 1-0. The Western Conference Finals go at it again on Saturday. The Warriors and Spurs with Golden State up 2-0.
Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio. It's Libations Friday. Brought to you by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Corner Pocket Bar and Grill on Appalachian Parkway. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
So I read from an article describing an effort to get more, certainly more appreciation for and legitimacy for defensive candidates to win the Heisman. And this was an article written today about guys that might be included in the discussion before the season starts. And that's, by the way, I don't care about the Heisman, but I care when one of our guys has a chance to win it is a more accurate statement of I don't care about the Heisman or my thoughts about the Heisman. It's I don't care about the Heisman unless one of our guys can win it.
And that usually means that we're good enough to win the national title that year. These things seem to go hand in hand.
It has, yes. Every time we've won the Heisman. So this would be interesting because, of course, we've only had quarterbacks win the Heisman. And that's, generally speaking, not surprising when you look around the country at the trend there. It's always an offensive player on a really good team that puts up big numbers, either a running back or a quarterback. Occasionally, a receiver finds his way into the conversation. But pretty much these days, if you're a quarterback on a really good team, you can win the Heisman. And I've always thought it was – I mean, I'll tell you what, back in the day, I actually was an advocate for Dan Morgan, the linebacker out of Miami, to win the Heisman. I thought that guy single-handedly changed more games than anybody else I saw in the country. He was a menace. And, you know, begrudgingly I had to talk about that guy, but he was that good. And, you know, he was I remember the game that he had against Chris Weinke. He just real talent for Miami. We've seen so few people get noticed the way that defensive players should. I don't know why that is, and it's very frustrating. Well, anyhow, I say all of that to say this. This article kind of previews the Heisman, and some of the guys are offensive guys, and some of the dark horse guys, quarterbacks at different places and things like that. But Derwin James' name did come up, and his name has been mentioned frequently this offseason now that he's back healthy and looks so good in spring, as being a guy that could actually get invited to New York, being a guy that could be the first pick in the draft, being a guy that is considered to be certainly amongst the handful of players that are in the conversation for best player in the country.
Well, yeah, I mean, remember the talk about Jabril Peppers last year, and obviously there's the funny mashup of the ESPN Orange Bowl broadcast, and Jabril Peppers' name being mentioned a couple hundred times, it felt like, and it felt that way watching the broadcast. I know you were down there in person. But, you know, Derwin's actually good at some of these positions at the next level. And that's the question about Jabril Peppers is he just a college football player who you can plug in a lot of places, Swiss Army knife type player that really doesn't have a future as a dominant player anywhere? But Derwin is somebody that NFL scouts are salivating over. He's somebody that can truck an offensive lineman as a rush-in. He's somebody that can light you up over the middle. He's somebody that can cover you in space. And the hype train's already started for him. I mean, in his absence, Florida State broadcasts were littered with mentions about Derwin James and what he means to the defense. So if he lives up to the hype next year, it's not like he's got to build something from scratch and people have to discover who he is. People already know who he is, and that counts for a lot because it seems to me that you have to make a real amount of noise in September and October.
That's right.
In order to be considered for the Heisman. Somebody who's a late breaker typically might get invited but would never have a chance to scare an actual Heisman Trophy.
So the write-up here on SI, on the website there that I read, reads as follows, short and sweet. The drive for more consideration of defensive players in the Heisman Trophy conversation probably won't result in a major payoff in December. It would take an atypical, undistinguished crop of quarterbacks, as well as an unusually mediocre group of running backs for someone on the opposite side of the ball to break through. So don't bet on it. Yet, if you had to pick one defensive player with the best chance of claiming the award in 2017, it would be hard to find fault with Derwin James, reacquainted college football fans this spring with a sublime combination of athleticism and versatility. James reportedly lined up everywhere from cornerback to kick returner, defensive end, registered 7 tackles, a pair of sacks in the Seminoles Garnet and Gold game. Yet the biggest takeaway in Tallahassee concerned James' health. He seems to have fully recovered from the meniscus tear that forced him to miss all but 2 games last year and presumably prevented him from doing things like skying for one-handed catches. They show the video that we've all now seen. If we haven't, just go search Derwin James. You'll find it quickly. And pulling off through the leg dunks, which we've also seen him do on the interwebs. A Protean terror capable of locking down wide receivers, crunching ball carriers, and treating offensive linemen like Steven Seagal does bad guys. I like that clip is on this piece or in this piece because that is still my favorite clip of him just emasculating that poor University of Florida offensive lineman.
One of the great clips in the Florida State rivalry's history.
Yeah. So he goes on to say if he's at his do everything best this fall, voters may not be able to justify leaving him off their ballots. As to the legitimacy of that distinction, right? A guy on that side of the ball being in the consideration or the conversation for Heisman Trophy winner, I don't know. These people usually are so set in their ways and the way that they view that race, the Heisman race. But he can be, because he is going to be utilized in all of those different facets. And that is going to be what I think is a very, very, very good defense. He could have the September talk that you're referencing. I mean, they're going to bring him in obvious pass downs. They're going to put him in positions to put up numbers.
Yes, and if he contributes in the kick return game too, that's just icing on the cake. Again, consider the opportunities that he's going to have before the nation. Week 1, Alabama. If he's the reason, because he takes something back for a touchdown or he forces a couple turnovers or has a couple of big sacks in that game, followed by the Miami game, which always gets run. It's week 3, so it's early enough in the season that it should still get prime time, even if Miami isn't any good. People won't know yet. Then you play Louisville in mid to late October.
Wouldn't it just suffice to say you should assume they won't be any good? Because that would have been a safe bet over the last 10 years.
Well, you wouldn't know it from the way the networks hype Miami every single year.
Well, they do have a new coach, relatively.
They do, and it's a likable coach, so they'll be covered favorably again. But then you play Louisville in the latter part of October. So let's say Florida State is undefeated facing Louisville. Well, then Derwin James is the toast of college football if he does what we think he's going to do.
Could have used him last year against Louisville. My goodness.
Could have used him against Clemson last year, and then there's your final chance. There's your chance to make a final stamp in what has been the de facto ACC championship game for a few years. Florida State and Clemson. We talked about it from a different perspective, from the fans' perspective. This is a great schedule. Well, if you're looking for an opportunity to win awards, this is also a really good schedule because you're in the limelight often this year.
Everybody's fear is that Derwin James's career will play out the way that Cromartie's did, where the whole world knew he was a freak of an athlete and just was beset by injury, and it wasn't going to hurt his draft stock. He was still going to go and be the stud at the next level that he's been for a very long time. I cringe and I shudder to think, but again, we only have had Derwin James for one season and really 2 games, but one of them was a meaningless game, the one he got hurt in. So we've never really benefited from his athletic prowess and capable dominance in these games. I mean, we just want one full season to see that guy at his best, completely healthy, with a full understanding and grasp of what we're doing defensively. Remember, what you saw out of him was a player who could make plays, but he was so young. He said already that he learned so much from sitting last year for the majority of the season, standing on the sideline and viewing the game the way a coach views a game and understanding conceptually what we're trying to do and why in down and distance situations with certain looks. So now you got a guy who's got a better grasp on what he's doing from a mental standpoint to go with that physical. It is time to unleash the beast. And you can obviously only do that if you play a full set of games healthy. We can see what you bring to the table. Knock on wood, it happens. I think we all believe he'll be a terror and a difference maker this season if he's healthy.
The good news is that, knocking on wood as I say this, it would take something new, a new development for him to not be able to play this season.
Oh,
it's not about a lingering injury and will he be able to suit it up and play through something? No. They let it heal all the way, and that's something that if he plays really well this year and obviously goes in the top 10 of the NFL draft, if not the top 5 of the NFL draft, after living up to expectations, he'll be able to go back and say, well, Jimbo Fisher took care of me in that situation because they, you could look for a quicker route from that injury to come back to the football field, especially if it's completely torn. But the partial tear takes longer, but it benefits you, the player, for the long term. So this is a positive chance for Florida State to gain more PR about Jimbo Fisher taking care of his players. But again, it would take something brand new on the injury front for Derwin James not to at least have a chance to show us what he can be this year.
So Derwin James, if you look ahead at 2018, the way too early projected mock drafts and all that, you'll see him sitting comfortably in the top 5, top 7 for a lot of people. It's not surprising. Of course, you'll always see quarterbacks there. Guys like Sam Darnold, are up there. You've got the Josh Allen quarterback at Wyoming, although I find that interesting. That's all about the fact that he has arm strength and all of that is the envy. I love Josh Rosen out of UCLA, and he is a stud that's often mentioned as well. But that said, think about how, if you're a recruit, and you were talking about Jimbo Fisher doing players right, I know Dalvin Cook fell, but that was nothing that Jimbo did. And you look at where EJ got drafted and, where Ponder got drafted, despite what they didn't become in the NFL, obviously Jameis Winston. And you look at that 2013 national championship team. I mean, it is really easy for Jimbo, who's already a very, very good recruiter, to be able to step into homes and say, we take care of you and we also keep your pro prospects in mind. If I think you're out of position, I'll tell you, I'll move you, you'll get drafted. See my track record. And, oh, by the way, we develop guys, and if you suffer an injury, knock on wood that you won't, we've got some of the best staff in the world, including a foremost expert in concussions from over at TOC and Dr. Burkhardt, and we're monitoring you in a way that will not see you worn down. We do this. All these things he can say, and then he can point to the draft, and this will only add to that. It matters to kids, man.
Well, sure, the position switches. Did you see last week Pro Football Focus, for what that's worth, put out their grades for the best cornerbacks in the NFL against the run? And 1 and 2, Xavier Rhodes, who was a former wide receiver, Ronald Darby, who was recruited as a corner, but 2 Florida State corners, one of which really didn't have the reputation for being all that physical in college. Those are your 2 best, according to Pro Football Focus, against the run. One more thing, though, about Derwin and the opportunity this year. You've talked about it. The ACC losing a lot of quarterbacks year to year.
It's a defensive-minded league this year.
And he could be the face of a defensive-minded league for the best defense in the league.
Well, that's, yeah.
With high-profile games to display the defense. So if there isn't a Deshaun Watson in our conference and he's the best player in our conference, I mean, all the more reason the ACC will pump him up.
But I do want to see, and I am a little bit saddened because I would have loved to have seen him against that stellar slate, not just for selfish reasons, because it would have helped our defense not suck early in the year against all these spread teams, yes, but honestly, remove that from the equation. Just to see that level of athleticism going against the quarterbacks we faced. I mean, this was an all-time year. We talked about week after week after week in the first half of that schedule. You were seeing special quarterbacks, and of course that all culminated eventually with seeing Deshaun Watson, who had a big fourth quarter against us. But I mean, what he could have done against them, not just to help us win more games, but I would have liked to have seen best versus best.
Well, I can grant you, I'm sure people are screaming at the radios right now, Lamar Jackson's still in college.
Well, yeah,
remember, I mean, Derwin was his shadow in Derwin's freshman year when Lamar was the quarterback coming down here to Tallahassee, and you get your chance. You get your chance to see this game once again here in Tallahassee. So you're not losing out on that. But it's hard to refute a fan when they look back at the season, and we, for all our foibles of lack of defensive principles and staying clear from the wide open receiver 20 yards down the field, or guys dogging it on a play. It's hard to refute them when they say, if Derwin's on the field, we win the Clemson game. Or if Derwin's on the field, we're going to win the North Carolina game.
Well, hell, if they don't make that ridiculous call against Clemson, we win that game. But, yeah.
But you know what I'm saying? Obviously, the great players in program's history, if you take them off the field, that means you're going to lose more games than you would have. If Jameis Winston was not our quarterback, especially...
we're not winning the national title.
Sure, but in 2014, how many more games do we lose if we don't have Jameis? If we didn't have Dalvin in 2015, how many more games do we lose?
Last year,
Derwin James.
But I'm saying if we didn't have Dalvin last year.
Sure.
Yeah. Just keep adding to it, yeah.
Last year, if we had Derwin James, what do we have, 1 loss going into the postseason?
I know. It's so frustrating. By the way, I go back and I look at this. I'm reminded of how it turned out to be a weird season for Lamar Jackson, and people began to figure some things out. I am really intrigued by the year he's going to have. But remember, they lost to Kentucky, and he made a terrible blunder in that game. And they scored all of 10 points against Houston if you recall. late in the
Virginia
year.
figured them out.
A Thursday night football game. They lose to Houston and score 10 freaking points. If you recall, they won that game, but there was a big comeback. 32-25 against Virginia?
They had to come all the way back.
Yeah, they all come back. The Duke game, they win, but they're losing late to Duke, and their defense is shutting down Jackson.
Was that a Friday night game, I think?
It was 24-14 is what I remember the score was. But the other thing is, too, even the Clemson game, he has a furious rally. But Clemson's about to blow the doors off of Louisville before that turnover. And had they scored in that situation and not fumbled the ball, now they dictate terms the rest of the game. I would have been very interested. I know ifs, ands, and buts, but I'm serious. Once you know what's coming, obviously.
Proof positive, though, that if you make an indelible mark in September, like he did in Syracuse, oddly enough, and then he did, obviously, against us.
They scored 70 against Charlotte the first game of the year, and we all sat back because we were so eager to watch college football. That game came on, and he had like 14 touchdowns.
Yeah.
It was insane.
But then you leap over a kid at Syracuse, you run all over us, and then you bring Louisville back to the precipice of rallying in Clemson, in Death Valley, against what was considered to be a top 5 team and was the eventual national champion. It's all about the mark you make early.
Well, 70, 62, 63 against us, and 59. That's what happened for Louisville last year to start the season. 70, 62, 63, and 59 before they finally met up against a good defense that contained them for at least 2.5 quarters against Clemson. And even then, his radar and his stock, he remained on the radar, and the stock rose because of the comeback, the rally, and how close they came to winning that game against Clemson. By rights, they shouldn't have been in. But it's a stark difference in the second half of the season where you see Virginia do a good job against them. You see Houston do a great job against them. You see them lose to Kentucky. You see Duke do a good job against them. I'm wondering. I'm not saying he won't have a great year. He's a sensational talent.
And he's going to develop
doubt.
year to year. Yeah.
Right. He's going to get better and better, and he's a sensational talent. There's no getting around that. I am curious. I know this has devolved into a conversation about what Louisville will be as opposed to Derwin James, but that's an interesting second half of the season. Let's see what Louisville's offense is this year to start the season.
Well, it's fair to say, right, that if Derwin James, again, as a potential Heisman candidate on defense, is going against Lamar Jackson and Florida State's one loss or undefeated, that's going to be hyped up as it's a guy trying to be Archie Griffin and win 2 straight Heismans in Lamar Jackson versus the premier defensive player in the sport. Again, another great highlight opportunity to get the stock rolling.
Need him to bust that ass. I want Derwin to light him up something.
I think every
fierce.
show this week has come back to we want blood for the Louisville game.
Well, I mean, we gave up 63 points. College Game Day was there to document that horrific beatdown. Hour number 2 forthcoming.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Blountstown Highway, 574-4100.
You put your mower through a lot. All that back and forth can add up to thousands of miles. That's like mowing cross country. Gravely commercial mowers are built for all-day performance, helping you get the job done mile after mile. Gravely, built to mow the distance.
Get your Gravely motor only at TNT Supercenter, your one-stop shop for work or play. 14585 Highway 19 South, Thomasville, Georgia. TNTSupercenter.com.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck, always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Quality, integrity, and pride. Parker Brothers Roofing, professional every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
Hey, I'm Travis with Parker Brothers Roofing. Some roofers are like a bad boyfriend. They make lots of promises, but in reality, they're just cheap. They don't own up to their mistakes, and they leave you with a lot of regret. Parker Brothers Roofing stands behind every installation, and if a mistake is made, we own it and fix it. Our customers never have to worry about being left behind for the next job. At Parker Brothers, it's quality that builds our quantity. Call us at 656-8112.
Parker Brothers Roofing, professional every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
License number CCC 049350.
Are you ready to experience an awesome fishing expedition? Sea Quarters Marina is home to several great charter services. All charters are customized based upon the types of fishing opportunities available and the type of fishing the customer requests. The Northwest Gulf Coast offers a variety of different angling adventures thanks to unspoiled back county islands and crystal clear flats. For more information regarding charters, call Sea Quarters Marina at 697-8400 or online at seaquartersmarina.com.
The City of Tallahassee Utilities reminds you that it'll be summertime before you know it, and summer's when we all benefit from positive environmental practices like saving energy, water, and money. Because after all, it's all connected. When your home is energy efficient, you save money on your utility bill, but you also help the environment because using less energy saves precious natural resources. Here are a few simple tips. Easy things you can do to use less energy. In the summertime, set your AC thermostat to 78 degrees and even a little higher when you're away from home. You'll be amazed at the money you'll save. Close shades, drapes, and blinds during the day. It keeps the house a lot cooler. Choose the proper AC fan setting. Put it on auto, not on. Auto saves energy. On runs continuously, and that runs into money. And while you're at it, schedule a free energy audit with the City of Tallahassee Utilities to identify low-cost and no-cost ways to make your home more energy efficient. You'll save energy, water, and money, and you'll help the environment too, because after all, it's all connected. A message from the #1 public utility in America. Learn more at talgov.com/YOU.
You know, we never talked about this, but he's not here now, so I'll bring it up to you. Is Tom kind of violating the man rule with all that sangria?
You know, if we were in Spain, it'd be a whole different situation.
All right, guys, how's it going? You ready to record?
Sure.
Yeah, sure.
No, I'm good. Did you just turn those on?
Yeah, why?
No reason. Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
Hey, Wally Woodham here. In 1974, I set the national high school passing record at Leon High with 3,560 yards.
Jimmy Jordan here. Wally, I broke your passing record at Leon the very next year.
Well, Jimmy, in our 3 years together at FSU, I threw for 22 touchdown passes.
Wally, that's pretty good, but I had 39.
Well, Jimmy, look at the deal I got at AAA Transmission.
That's a pretty good deal, Wally. At least your car's a winner.
Don't put off your auto repairs. Stop in at AAA Transmission and ask for owner Tim Pridgeon, servicing Tallahassee for over 30 years. AAA Transmission, 1023 North Monroe Street, or call them at 222-2532.
Broadcasting live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios. This is 97.9 ESPN Radio, WTSM, Woodville, Thomasville, Tallahassee. Tallahassee Sports Center.
I'm Lee Gordon. Florida State baseball's final road series of the year got off on the right foot last night. The Noles beat second-ranked Louisville 12-9 on Thursday. Florida State with 14 hits en route to the victory. Same two teams will do it again tonight at 6 o'clock. Softball opens up the regionals tonight at home. They'll take on Princeton. Game time there is 7 p.m. Well, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers now have a backup quarterback for Jameis Winston after they lost Mike Glennon to the Bears. They've signed veteran quarterback Ryan Fitzpatrick. Some of the NFL rookies are just starting to sign. The Jaguars have locked in Leonard Fournette. He's got a 4-year deal, fully guaranteed, with no offset language, no word yet on the value of that deal. NBA tonight, Cleveland and Boston in Game 2 of the Eastern Conference Finals. Cavs lead at 1-0. The Western Conference Finals go at it again on Saturday. The Warriors and Spurs with Golden State up 2-0.
Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio. It's Libations Friday, brought to you by Quarter Pocket Bar and Grill. Quarter Pocket Bar and Grill on Appalachian Parkway. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Hour number 2, Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio, and a fine Libations Friday to you and yours. Loosey-goosey. We're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you go to listen live via the streaming free. Always miss nothing, but understand that if you do, we'll post all 3 hours of this here fine program, both on iTunes and in our own audio vault, and we'll do so with limited commercial interruption upon the conclusion of the show, thanks to our great podcast sponsor, Carlton Dean. Go to carltondean.com to learn more. Florida State offense not having that nonsense last night. Let's see if we can go ahead and take the series tonight. Brendan McKay, who's the ACC Pitcher of the Year, or at least he will be, got tattooed. And nobody does that to him, but we do. Cool to watch Quincy Neaporte going out like a champion these days, man. 5 for 5 in that finale against Wake, as I've talked about before, and then a 3-double performance, 5 runs, 2 plated 2 runs as well. He's been really, really good. And Dylan Busby, tape measure down. And it's exciting to watch this team swing the bat. It's exciting to watch this team on offense. It's troubling to watch this team pitch, in particular on Friday nights, where you're going to need, I'll just say it this way. To me, the understanding that they just don't have anybody else that they believe in to pitch as a weekend starter. Now, I understand you can take issue with the fact that he's a Friday guy instead of Holton. They just don't want to move those guys around in the rotation. So he's a Friday guy only by name. He's not lived up to it by the execution of pitches, that's for sure. But his stuff is good. And we know that. He had a slider working. He can throw in excess of 90 miles per hour. But, you walk people and then you give up the bomb. And you can't walk people. You just can't walk. If it's a solo job, you're still out there, you're fine. But he gets himself in trouble, and he's really been bad. And it's aggravating. But they don't really feel like they have another option. Now, again, Drew Carlton pitched last night and got in the game and a meaningful high-leverage situation and came through. Gave up just the 1 run over 3 innings. So at least they were able to utilize him. And that 1 through 5, going 12 for 21 or 12 for 22 with the 2 home runs and 10 RBIs, 11 runs, 3 walks is amazing. Top of the lineup, just not having it against a real ace, a legitimate ace.
This is a lineup that we knew was potent. I think we're finding out just how potent it can be against the best that college baseball has to offer, which is a really positive development. However, the pitching limitations still loom, and so if you run into a kid on a Friday at a regional or in the winner's bracket, loser's bracket, whatever, 3-game super regional, the bats are going to get neutralized at some point. And can anybody not named Tyler Holton get you outs consistently? And even that, he just pitched a complete game shutout. I'll grant you before that, he was not consistent at all. So what are we looking at here? We're looking at a team that's just going to have to average 7 to 9 runs a game. I mean, think about it. Think about what the starters are doing this year. It would not name Tyler Holton. You have to slug. I mean, seriously, college baseball, old school slug your way through a regional or a super regional unless somebody finds whatever it was that Holton found last week against Wake Forest. But here again, if he gives up 5 runs in 4 innings tonight, Tyler Holton, then we're back to square one. The bats are always going to be there by and large, but when you face a good pitcher, I just don't know that you could count on a performance like last night over and over and over again.
You can't typically, but I will say, man, that's the best pitcher you're going to face, and you just hammered his ass. And it's really rather remarkable. Listen, you're right. If you face high-caliber pitching consistently, you're not going to drop that kind of performance offensively on them. But their approach and their confidence at the plate is sky high and really has been for most of the year. I think one of the interesting things here is that I overlooked in the first hour, that win last night, you asked me yesterday, so let's address the question you brought up yesterday. I said I wasn't concerned in the slightest about them making the postseason. I thought they had already procured that. But I guess you could make the argument. I've heard people make the argument. In fact, some people countered what I said yesterday and came back with, well, no, wait a minute, Cameron. They just got done losing 2 out of 3 to Wake. And coming off that loss to Wake Forest in the disappointing 10-9 finale of that set, if they had gone up to Louisville and lost all 3, which is a a distinct possibility given what Louisville's been at home and how good Louisville's been as a staff and as a bullpen. I mean, going into last night, their bullpen hadn't lost a game in which they had the lead or were tied. Last night's the first time. But had they lost all three at Louisville and then didn't perform well in the ACC tournament, which these aren't outlandish scenarios. I mean, you're facing good teams. So if you lose 5 straight, 6 straight games, some would argue you were on the fence. I'm not one of them, but I think you can make the case. It's not an unreasonable argument. So why do I say that? Well, last night's win, that's the end of that. They're going. They're going to be in the postseason. They don't have to win another game.
Probably, as long as they don't lose these two and then go 0-2 or whatever the minimum amount of games you could play in the ACC tournament would be.
No, I think they can. I don't think it makes any difference.
I don't want to have that debate come to its maturity, and we'll find out. I'd rather win tonight and just make this extremely a great, wonderful moot point.
Right.
One thing that we didn't really talk about to begin the last hour is the heart. We've harped on the negative of this bunch an awful lot this year, and we even harped on the infighting behind the scenes that's either implied or that is the direct, result of when your head coach suspends a preseason All-American, a 5:30 a.m. practice. You get beat like a drum up at Virginia Tech. What was it, 17-0 or whatever it was?
17-0.
I mean, these are all indicators
hard to trust a team that
of infighting to a degree. And then you have the mishandling of the Drew Carlton situation, and it just seems like a head-scratcher considering he might be better served to be in the rotation. So there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes this year, and we've always, marked that. But what about what this team has done in its last 2 games especially? I mean, look at the way the Wake Forest game played out. Even though you lose 10-9, you get down 2-0 right away. Parrish can't throw strikes, and then you fight back. You go up 3-2. Then you're down 5-3, and you're down
back.
You tie it up, and it's 8-6, 10-6. You get to 10-9. You give yourself a chance in that ball game. That's not time for a moral victory analysis on a Monday after a series that you had to have. But then you parlay that and use it as context for this game. You're down 7-3. You go down early, then you're down 7-3 in the middle innings against this kid and that bullpen, and you come all the way back on the road in front of a raucous crowd, and you get a huge win to go up in the series, 1-0, which it seems like we never do. Okay, there's heart. There's heart in this group, especially at the plate.
I need one other guy. Now, let's see what Holton does tonight. But again, I should note this. Good on you, bullpen, okay? Because Voiles and Bird and Carlton come in and strike out 4. They walk a grand total of 1, and you end up getting a win. Voiles gets the win. Carlton gets the save. You found guys on the road that gave you a chance to come back and win a baseball game against an elite team, and they did. That could have been an ugly scene. Could have seen this bullpen do what they often have done, but nope, they were good, and Florida State is able to get that win and give Louisville's bullpen their first loss in that situation. I would also say, I'll put this in the positive. Mendoza's not hitting right now. He's had flashes where he looks really good at the plate. He's in a tough one right now. The bottom of the order struggled here. Thankfully, the top of the order didn't struggle, not even a little bit. Mendoza committed an error, but I will tell you, when I note that that's the first error Florida State's made in 57 innings, well, look, man, we've come a long, long way picking up the baseball. This was a group that early in the year I thought, man, same old, same old. We are really struggling with some of the fundamental elements of the game. But they've gone over 6 games without making an error, and they had just the one, right? So, I mean, they've gotten a lot better there.
Yeah, they've tightened up in some areas that were absolutely the talk of why they were, struggling and falling behind earlier in the season.
So they're giving themselves a shot, that's all we're saying.
Yeah.
They're not great.
No, they're trending in a better direction in a couple areos. Again, I mean, Holton just threw a complete game shutout, but it's not
let
like
them win tonight.
I hear you, and I hope. Okay,
we may have to do a special show.
Oh, no, thank you. We'll do a special segment on Monday about what happened.
What do we got going on here?
No, it's just again, Holton in conference hasn't been that great, but he was great last weekend against one of the more potent offenses you're going to see all season long, be it ACC play, out of conference play, regional, super regional,
He's
whatever.
He's going to be great again tonight, Tom Lake.
Okay. If he gives up 4 runs in 6 innings.
I'll take 4 runs in 6 innings in college baseball. It's all right. It's not great.
Well, you'll
but
certainly
I'll
take it with this freaking staff.
Yeah, you would, buddy. You'd be like, all right, good night on the hill.
You've given us a
All
chance to
right.
win.
That's right. With this offense, we're cruising to a 4-run victory there. I'm all right. Don't you deny Big Mo.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You can tell a lot about a tractor by its warranty. That's why Mahindra makes the toughest tractors on earth. With steel, not plastic, backed by the industry's best limited powertrain warranty, period. Not 5 years, not 6 years, but a full 7 years on select models. No wonder the other guys are green with envy.
No money down, 0% interest, and no payments until July. Available at TNT Supercenter.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Business Bureau. And now Avant will also give you a $50 Amazon.com gift card after your first payment is made on time. To check your rates with no impact to your credit score and to get this special radio offer, go to Avant.com today and enter promo code 8080 when applying. That's AVANT.com, promo code 8080.
Games for Less, the only locally owned and operated gaming store in town, has Tallahassee's largest selection of new and used video games and game systems. The future of video gaming is at Games for Less, where they have both the PS4 and Xbox One. It's time to trade in your old systems and elevate your gaming experience now. Games for Less is also your headquarters for the best in retro gaming. Atari 2600, original Nintendo, Super NES, or Sega Genesis, you name it. They got it at Games for Less. Games for Less, the Super Walmart Shopping Center on Appalachia Parkway. Give them a call today at 850-219-3535. That's Games for Less.
Today, there are over 47 million Ford vehicles on the road, rolling on over 188 million tires. That's a lot of rubber to trust to anyone other than a hardworking specialist at Ford Service. No one knows your Ford better than Ford and Ford Service.
Get a $140 rebate by mail on 4 select tires when you use the Ford Service credit card at the Big Tire event. Subject to credit approval, rebate by prepaid debit card. Other tire manufacturer rebate or offer cannot be combined with Ford Service credit card rebate or offer. See your participating Ford dealer for details through 6/30/17.
Memorial Day savings at the Home Depot mean you can really clean up. Save up to 40% on appliance special buys, like a Samsung high-efficiency top-load washer and steam electric dryer with platinum finish, just $648 each. You save over $500 on the pair. And just like that, Laundry Day got a whole lot better. Nobody beats our prices, guaranteed. With Memorial Day savings at the Home Depot. More saving, more doing. Valid through June 7th, U.S. only while supplies last. Gas dryer extra. See store for details.
Barry knows cool. He's keeping you comfortable. Barry knows cool. You can put him to the test.
Spring is the perfect time to be outdoors enjoying the fresh air with friends and family. It's also the right time to make sure your air conditioning system is ready for the hot summer. Turn to the experts at Carrier and Barano Heating and Air to learn more about your financing options for every budget. Visit us today at baranoac.com. License number CAC 057652.
This Day in Sports, brought to you by Superlube, 19 Tallahassee area locations. Quick, convenient, no appointment necessary. Get your history lesson weekdays at 5:30 during the Jeff Cameron Show, right here on 97.9 ESPN Radio. You're locked in with the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. You got rib injuries going on over there, Tom? You all right?
Yeah.
You got rib injuries?
Rib injuries? No, just a little
Stomach
cramp.
pain?
A little cramp. That's all.
Cramping up on me?
One of those things
This
where
show is arduous.
it can be. It's one of those things where you breathe in all the way and then there's a stitch, so you try and breathe out and then breathe back in so there's no stitch.
You know, the rare full breathe in sometimes will steer you wrong. Most of us don't ever do the actual. That's a bit much. It takes time. You have to focus on actually breathing as opposed to just breathing.
Yes, exactly.
And we don't do it. But then when you do it and the reward is as negative as yours was, you think, well, why did I do that?
Yeah, it's got a little stitch to it, so I just want to be able to clear that so I can breathe freely in case I have to inhale for a sneeze or some such thing.
Let me ask you something. As you've gotten older, you're only 30. But I'm worried about myself. I think it's going to be a problem in my 50s.
I thought you were going to say worried about me.
No. I'm not worried about you.
How does this benefit you most?
No. It's just a question. It's just not even. It's not. I'm worried about me a little bit because this has happened in the last 2 to 3 years, and it's really quite strange. I do this thing where all of a sudden, I don't know, like if I'm laying down on the couch watching golf or something, or if I'm laying in bed and it's not time for bed and I prop myself up on the pillow and I fall asleep. Now, I know the immediate response is going to be that this is somebody saying, Cameron, that's going to be like a form of sleep apnea. You need to get it looked at. But that would be me not describing this properly. I'll kind of turn in such a way and maybe kind of, be really too relaxed. And when I get, when you're falling asleep and your muscles jerk, you do that thing?
Sure.
All right. So
that happens to me a lot more as I get older.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It happens all the damn time.
The
To be
jolt,
honest.
yeah.
You're like, oh, what the hell is that? Anyhow, my wife's used to it. She's like, Jesus.
So does that happen to you on a nightly basis?
Almost.
Wait, okay, so when you're tired?
Really tired.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I was worried about that.
Yeah,
I wonder what that could be implying for future, motor issues or something along
you worry
those
about
lines.
it, right?
Yeah.
But one of the things that accompanies that symptom is that I'll do an awful lot of this. I just start coughing. Like if I get really relaxed, then all of a sudden it's like I just start coughing, and I have to rearrange. Like, I have to swallow in such a way that it's like it's rearranging my esophagus. It's odd. Like, how you fix your shirt if it goes on your arm the wrong way, or you...
Yeah, it's pinching against
it's just something,
a nerve
right?
or a hair.
It's like I'm fixing something in my throat that I got too relaxed, and it's like my Adam's apple or something just laid in this one area that it shouldn't have, and it causes me to cough terribly. It's like a loss of breath temporarily. It's aggravating as all hell, and it's only happened in the last 3 years. You don't ever have it happen? Have you ever gotten just where you kind of drifting off or really relaxed, like I said, watching golf on the couch, and all of a sudden you go, you have a bothered throat?
Unless I swallow the wrong way, which is...
Swallowing the wrong way sucks, by the way.
It does.
It's bizarre.
And it's typically when I'm really thirsty. I mean, go figure, this is a correlation, absolutely. But, I'm trying to guzzle something, and I'm not, allowing myself the opportunity to, partake and imbibe. No, I've had side stitches though all my life. Where it almost feels like there's a pinching
grabbing?
in the rib cage area. Yeah, and what I'll need to do is exhale completely, like the full exhale. You're talking
and that
about the
does
full.
it. Yeah.
Most of the time, there have been times where it's taken a good 5 to 10 minutes, and that's when I start to panic a little bit because then you can't breathe in. You breathe in a little bit, and it's like sting, sting, sting. Yeah,
it's
one of those weird things I had all my life.
Yeah, that's kind of odd. Well, I'm sure we all have ailments. My mom cracked me up not long ago. She is certainly not a hypochondriac. She's not worried at all about any kind of weird pains as she gets older. The last time I was down there, I was talking to her. I had pinched a nerve in my shoulder just working out with Bill, Frequency XP. And I was kind of like, this thing is just really bothering me. My mom goes, I haven't felt my left arm in like 3 months. Did you have a stroke? Are you about to have a heart attack? Nope. It'll go away. It's happened before. You get into your 60s. She goes, you get into your 60s, you hurt all the time. There are things, you get chest pains. It's not a heart attack. Your thigh begins to hurt for no damn reason. She's like, the feeling of my left arm, it goes and comes. She's in great shape.
Yeah, your mom's been the picture of health, too.
Her whole life. She was an aerobics instructor when that was popular. She's a fitness person. She eats exceptionally well, exercises all the time. Is underweight, not overweight. Yeah. Doesn't drink like a fish like her son. she's
admissions on a libation
she,
Friday.
no, she's really, a picture of health. So when she told me that her left arm just goes numb and she can't feel it, and in this case for months at a time, that's a little alarming.
I think it may not be in the A list of things we talk about, but secondary conversations, it's a regular appearing guest. Mortality discussions with my dad. He talks about pains that he feels. Yeah, that's what happens when you get old. Things stop working, Tom. That's what he always says. Things stop working. Because he talks about how, and I've said this before, his palm, he'll wake up with his right palm, closed. His fingers are grasped tightly, and he can't extend his fingers.
Now, that is weird, though.
So
I've never heard of that.
He'll have to extend his fingers with his other hand, and then he can kind of go about his day.
What you're talking about is amazing because the willingness to you have no choice. So just to accept the oddities, these weird, freakish physical things that happen to you as you get older, I have some residual effects from the surgeries that I've had, whether it's the plastic bone that's in my right foot with the steel pin that's still in there, or the 2 times that I've broken my arm, or the many times I've broken my nose.
Those things are going to bug the hell out of you in the coming years.
Well, and I've had 2 different knees. I've had all kinds of problems. And most of them were football related. Some of them weren't. Some of them were just stupid softball one year and all that. But the point is, I've broken a number of things, and occasionally the byproduct is that I'm like, oh, man, this left pinky that I broke years ago is really giving me a problem today.
Rain must be coming.
Right. That dumbness, that kind of, well, the steel pin, my foot, that'll happen. When the pressure drops and the rain's coming, you can go up. My foot's like,
Really?
Yeah.
So on the golf course, let's say, and there's a front coming in the summer.
I can feel it.
Your foot warns you when something's
coming. It
hurts
a little bit. It'll start to ache. Yeah, and
why have you never brought this up? Because we've been out there with the weather changing.
We've been out there. We got poured on last year.
Yeah, well, yeah, that was.
We sat underneath that little tree.
Yeah, I know it's 18 holes now, so that'd be hole number 11.
Yeah, remember that? We just sat there.
But you're telling me that you had a 10-minute warning or something like that it was coming?
No, not all the time. And I've gotten so used to it that I just because it makes me sound like an old man. I'm like, oh, rain's coming.
Yeah, but we could have taken it to the 19th hole.
No.
We didn't have a cooler.
And it doesn't always rain. It could just be that the pressure dropped and maybe a front's nearby. So you can't. It's not foolproof, right? You don't know all the time.
What about that one day that we were walking back and lightning was hitting all around us?
There was nothing bothering me there.
There was no warning there?
No, the black clouds were the warning there. that was
what I'm saying is, could you have bought us another 5 minutes?
No, that was freaky, and that lightning
bad.
Hit right behind us.
That was something straight out of growing up in Tampa Bay. I mean, that's the kind of thing I remember
That thing
as a
came
kid.
in quick. Do you remember, we were walking, and I go, guys, I really think we probably need to turn around because we've gotten far enough away.
I was so pissed to start it off well, too. I had a good tee shot on number 3. That was the North course, the now defunct North course.
Breaks my heart. Don't
Is that
bring
the
it
last
up.
time we played the North?
I don't know if it was the last time, but it certainly was one of the last times, yes. And we nearly died. That lightning,
kind of fitting.
That lightning was very close. That got awkward. Hey, so Tom Brady, so really quick, let me get this out here. That's where I was going to go with this, but this really doesn't require a long segment, so I'll just say this. I knew this was going to happen. I wanted to see if the various outlets that cover professional sports that we check every morning, whether we're fans or, in this case, a talk show host, you read the overnight news, you read the various columnists that you like, the ones you don't. Maybe you gloss over, see what the headline is, keep moving. And, you'll go through. You'll check your fantasy baseball team, then you'll go check NBA, NFL, MLB, NHL, whatever it might be, right? I thought to myself that here we are in May, and one of the things that certainly they need is content because these playoffs have been boring. And so they're going to look for an angle. Well, when Giselle spoke out of turn and was prattling on about stuff she knows nothing about and said that her husband has had concussions that they don't talk about or that have been covered up, somebody's going to write about this. Somebody's going to take not just that she said that, but they're going to take this to be a piece. They're going to say why it's dangerous for the most high-profile player in the sport to not be forthcoming with his battle having dealt with that. That's what they're going to do. They're going to presume she's telling the truth, and then they don't really need any more than that, and they'll take the side of, well, that's dangerous, and as the face of the league, he owes it to his fellow players to come out and talk about this, which is exactly what happened on Yahoo. And, in fact, I'll read here for you for a second why Brady's silence on concussions is damaging. Keeping quiet contributes to the stigma that surrounds the injury and can send a message that it's no big deal, says one expert. Get the hell out of here with that. First of all, that's again assuming that what she's talking about is even accurate. And within an hour of that story coming out, I found this. Tom Brady's agent denies Gisele, what's her name?
Yeah, Gisele Bundchen.
Gisele's claims of Brady suffering concussion. Quarterback says he didn't have one last year. So now what are we doing here, y'all? You're going to leave that headline up for the day? You're going to go down that road?
No, the New England Patriots made a phone call because the NFL responded by saying that none of their protocols were tripped for Tom Brady reports, and he was never in danger of participating in the sport while having a concussion, according to their professionals. But then the NFL put out a statement saying, we look forward to seeing the New England Patriots medical records to make sure everything is in line. So guess what happens? Robert Kraft picks up the phone and says, hey, man, from a professional standpoint, get a check on your supermodel wife.
Told you that you got to have the conversation.
You fancy yourself a billionaire before you are, Tom, and I'm not saying you won't be.
You're going to be.
But I'm saying you're going to get phone calls like this about sweeping things under the rug if they need to be swept or ending things if they're in the news cycle for just 2 seconds too long.
The quote from Don Yee, Brady's agent, and I love the name Don Yee. I just do. Tom was not diagnosed with a concussion last year, said Yee. That's beautiful. Many of the protocols and safeguards are still evolving. It's obviously a good thing the organization and everybody close to him is as vigilant as they are in looking out for his health. Smooth-ass Don Yee, baby.
What in that statement could ever be a lie or ever be found to be a lie?
He's just so good. That statement, you win, sir. You, Don Yee. I'm going to reread it. Sorry, we get off on PR stuff like this. It's just our thing. This is so well done. It protects his wife, the Patriots, the quarterback himself, the league. It's 3 sentences. It's one long sentence, sorry. Many of the protocols and safeguards are still evolving. It's obviously a good thing the organization and everyone close to him is as vigilant as they are about his health.
He was never diagnosed.
Never diagnosed.
Never diagnosed.
It's brilliant. Damn, Don Yee. You're a pimp.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Blountstown Highway, 574-4100.
You put your mower through a lot. All that back and forth can add up to thousands of miles. That's like mowing cross country. Gravely commercial mowers are built for all-day performance, helping you get the job done mile after mile. Gravely, built to mow the distance.
Get your Gravely motor only at TNT Supercenter, your one-stop shop for work or play. 14585 Highway 19 South, Thomasville, Georgia. TNTSupercenter.com.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck, always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Middle Street Service, we go out on land for you.
Give us a call at 894-TREE.
Don't just listen to The Jeff Cameron Show. Watch it live. The Jeff Cameron Show Streamcast. Live weekdays 3 to 6 p.m. Head to ESPNTallahassee.com today to watch live or catch up on demand. The Jeff Cameron Show Streamcast. Brought to you by Nice Tire and Auto, your trusted Goodyear dealer. 574-4100. And presented by TNT Supercenter in Thomasville, Georgia. And Franklin Spring Creek Ford.
If you're struggling to pay or haven't been making your student loan payments, listen carefully to this urgent alert. Have you been out of school for 10 or more years and you're still making your student loan payments? Are your student loans past due or even in default? Can't go back to school because of an old student loan problem? We can help you if you qualify. Your student loans can be taken out of default. We can stop the wage garnishments, stop the collection calls, and stop the seizure of your tax refund. Give yourself a break. Stop the stress and see if we can help you reduce your student loan payments. One quick 10-minute call could solve them right now. So call the Student Loan Helpline now. 800-419-2201, 800-419-2201, 800-419-2201. That's 800-419-2201. This is a fee-based document preparation service to help you access free government programs. Call for complete details, not available in all states.
Tallahassee Sports Center.
I'm Lee Gordon. Florida State baseball's final road series of the year got off on the right foot last night. The Noles beat second-ranked Louisville 12-9 on Thursday. Florida State with 14 hits en route to the victory. Same two teams will do it again tonight at 6 o'clock. Softball opens up the regionals tonight at home. They'll take on Princeton. Game time there is 7 p.m. Well, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers now have a backup quarterback for Jameis Winston after they lost Mike Glennon to the Bears. They've signed veteran quarterback Ryan Fitzpatrick. Some of the NFL rookies are just starting to sign. The Jaguars have locked in Leonard Fournette. He's got a 4-year deal, fully guaranteed, with no offset language, no word yet on the value of that deal. NBA tonight, Cleveland and Boston in Game 2 of the Eastern Conference Finals. Cavs lead at 1-0. The Western Conference Finals go at it again on Saturday. The Warriors and Spurs with Golden State up 2-0.
Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio. It's Libations Friday, brought to you by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Corner Pocket Bar and Grill on Appalachia Parkway. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Yes, obviously that is Chris Cornell singing there, soon to be joined by Eddie Vedder on this song, and kind of a staple of my college years. And, you know, yesterday I didn't really spend any time on this with Chris Cornell's suicide, apparent suicide anyhow. But we always usually like to acknowledge, 'cause I'm a big music guy if you're new to the program, and you may have figured that out just from Bumper in general. And I didn't really think about what I was going to say with this, other than in 1992 I saw Soundgarden at Lollapalooza, and I was really one of the lucky guys that went to Lollapalooza in '91. It got pressed up against the main stage when Jane's Addiction played, and that was incredible. Fishbone was on that one time. Ice-T's band Body Count, Rollins Band. Nine Inch Nails.
Everybody was in their prime.
Yeah, it was really good. It was a lot of fun, and I went to that. But in '92, saw them as well. Saw the this was a really cool. I saw '92. I saw '93. I saw '94. I think I stopped. 94, 95 was the last I went to Lollapalooza. The Lollapalooza story, Tom, the original one that I told on the air is the one where I left my buddy Steven in Orlando.
High and dry.
After we had a very clear conversation about how things are supposed to be. But the point of that is this. I saw Soundgarden in 1992, and I owned Bad Motorfinger, the album by Soundgarden at that time. That's the album that preceded Super Unknown. Now, Super Unknown is the album everybody knows. I also had Louder Than Love, which I think came out in '90. Anyhow, I'm not saying that to be elitist, but they were a tour de force. His voice was awe-inspiring, obviously, and he's one of the great frontmen, Chris Cornell, of all time. But I remember being so blown away by that voice, and you see him in the movie Singles, singing in the live scene in the bar and all that, that I was wondering if he could recreate it in person, because it's an incredible voice. It's almost 4 octaves. And so that a lot of times those guys, they can sing, but they're also the byproduct of good mix and production and,
Getting that one take out of 50.
Right. And so the way he sang on that album, the first two records, I thought, you can't go on tour with that. You can't do that. And he did. And he nailed it. And we were all blown away. And he did it time and again. And allegedly, I haven't seen the footage, but when on the night in which he took his life the other night, they played in Detroit, and he sang his ass off there too. And they saved the most difficult song from a vocalist standpoint for last, which usually you play early. A vocalist will always play those early, not late in shows. And he's 52 years old and was still doing it. Still had the heart and still had the ability. So it comes as a shock and is stunning to have learned of his death. And I'll tell you something else that kind of freaks me out. Just sharing a story here. That's all. Not melancholy or anything. Just kind of freaks me out. Only Eddie Vedder's left. That's it from the grunge movement in the great Northwest, the Pacific Northwest. Lane Staley, Alice in Chains, dead. Obviously now Chris Cornell, dead. Kurt Cobain, dead. Even if you go to Mother Love Bone, which started all of this, dead. You go on down the list of these bands, even if you want to start to throw in bands that kind of were spinoffs of those bands, then you're going to STP, Stone Temple Pilots, dead. All of those frontmen are dead except for Vedder. It's got to be a weird feeling for him. But it's a really weird feeling for me. I was not that far out of high school. That whole movement took hold at a time that the music industry needed it to take hold. I mean, we were really mired in simple music, and it was the end of the hair metal era, and this all signified the end of the hair metal, and it's got its place. Hair metal has its place, and I look back at that with fondness too, but they weren't saying anything. And what was coming out of the Pacific Northwest at a time where I was just finishing up, I was in college and then finishing college, and you know how you are when you first get out of college, there's a sense that you're not going to make it because the jobs aren't there a lot. And when I was coming out, it was true. The jobs weren't there.
Same. Very much the same.
Yeah, you and I share that experience. I've always related in that way.
Worst economic circumstance since the Depression, good sir.
Yeah, we were in the midst of being so frustrated, and that's what Generation X ended up being known for, were these great laments about how things were so superficial, and moreover, you couldn't get a job, so you were poor and angry and depraved, and there was no art, and it was just all really the genesis of that movement. And some of that music doesn't last. Some of that music hasn't stood the test of time. Some of those albums that I thought in 1992, 93 were the best albums I'd ever heard don't stand up now. Not to me. Some very much do, and I'm still really fond of. Those two Soundgarden records. And Super Unknown was huge, and it had the big hits with Black Hole Sun and all that stuff. And Down on the Upside was a big album, too. They're okay to me. The first two, well, I guess I didn't have the very first one, which I never bought, which was Ultra Mega okay. But Louder Than Love I had, and Bad Motorfinger I had. Anyhow, the long story of it is that we used to get into these debates over kegs of beer in 92 and 93. Who was the better frontman, Vedder or Cornell? And you had your people who were Cornell guys, and then you had your people who were Vedder guys. And that's why that song and that album, Temple of the Dog, is the best, because it joins the two of them. And they play off of each other. And we would sit and listen to that album and those songs often. But when you love music and you grow up having a passion for music, and you have what you're lucky to have an eclectic taste, because you had brothers who had a variety of musical tastes, and a stepfather and a father who loved music. So I grew up from everything, as I've said before, listening James Brown to the Beatles to jazz to folk to classical music. Later on, obviously, speed metal and thrash and all of that stuff came in, and then rap came into my life and all of that. And I still try to have a pretty eclectic collection of music. But it gets weird when you're my age, I think, and these guys just start dying off, and it's happening, man. That era is watching those guys drop like flies. It's nuts. Now, his is a suicide. It's not drug-related that we're aware of. I don't know. We'll see as more reports come out. But rest in peace, Chris Cornell. It's sad, man. It's sad. It's frustrating. I'd love to know, it can't be just a coincidence that all of the mega bands from the Pacific Northwest that really made an impact on the music scene internationally, all of them are gone. You know, I mean, it may speak to that era, that area of the country. It's dark and rainy and depressing, or maybe those songs really were born out of Great Depression, real depression. I don't know. Some of them you could tell were obvious. Others had drug issues. I always thought he spoke of those kinds of conditions and thoughts in a real uplifting and positive way. He wasn't mired in sorrow.
Well, this is getting into the discussion about greatness and artists. And, you know, the best that we've ever seen in sports are an artist unto themselves and what they can do with their bodies and how they manipulate it. And then what they call upon in a time of need, because that's the stuff of legends and the greats, right?
Yeah.
It's like you have to be able to do this at the highest level in the biggest moment, and you deliver. Well, then we worship you, in some cases, quite literally.
Yeah.
And it's just, we often put ourselves in those people's shoes, whether it's as kids and we're in the driveway, or if you're, if you're of musical inclination, then you think you're playing the solo at Wembley, or you're playing the solo wherever in a stadium tour.
Sure.
And you can't be those guys, because for them to become what they were,
They had to have suffered in many cases.
they have
suffered.
to be wired differently. Now, it could be that they're just, a red ass, like Tom Brady, I don't think is the nicest guy in
Probably
the world.
not.
And the commercial that he put out last year that I always say Jimbo Fisher just must have on loop in his home
He's working out
every
and
single
doing
day. Every single day.
Yeah, he's a machine.
In order to be a machine like that, you've got to be missing something.
Oh, we say the greatness amongst any field usually aren't the people you want to be hanging out with. You can marvel at their abilities, and you can marvel at the results and the actions it takes to get there, and the dedication or the artistry in the case of musicians or painters or whatever it might be. But typically, they're not a lot of fun to hang out with.
No, and some make it out. Some people go through their phase and then
they get
make
out the
it.
other side.
Well, maybe Eddie did. I mean, the Cubs just won the World Series, so that's one big check off
Well,
the
he's
list. But
happier these days,
he
there's no
seems-
question.
Yes, he seems happy, doesn't he?
Yeah, I've seen him on tour as a solo artist. I've seen him with Pearl Jam. I've seen all those shows countless times. He's a much happier guy now than he was when I first started going to those shows.
Think of the many faces of one Johnny Cash and his story. He had different phases in his life. Maybe some he shouldn't have survived, but he did, and then he found his center. These things can happen, but for some people, the Kurt Cobain story is probably the best example of this case.
And those guys don't get out of their 20s. Those guys are saddled with a weight that provides for us incredible art, incredible moments to relate. And when you're in that mood or you're sad temporarily, you go to those things. They're that way all the time, and they don't get to escape it, and thus they don't get out of their 20s. And that's obviously, there's a tragedy in that. I think I'm shocked by Chris Cornell because he's 52, married with kids. He had come out the other side. He had made it. We don't know what circumstances were going on in his life, and I'm sure we will. I mean, in today's day and age, you usually find out. But
maybe on the surface, he had made it. But
I'm just saying, at 52, you quite literally somehow made it.
Even in our industry, for example, one titan of the industry, Howard Stern. I mean, the guy's a loser his whole life. Nobody likes him, and he talks to himself all the time, and he wills his own way up the ladder because he's been shunned by everybody. He's been told no.
Right.
So he becomes this thing. Lesser example, I'll grant you, but Colin Cowherd, often talks during his show about when he would just talk to himself in his car or in his basement alone because he didn't have friends.
Right.
You know what I mean? And,
Right.
and what does it take for you to become...
Those guys created personas.
In sport, in music, in broadcasting... these guys are wired differently. They'd rather be up at 4 or 5 in the morning and practicing in front of a mirror, looking at themselves and becoming a persona, or working on a solo, or work. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I always find it fascinating, the guys that actually create a persona. I mean, that's different. You become a character so that you can deflect your own inner demons and pain and become this other thing. That's twisted. You got serious issues, my man.
But isn't a rock star a persona?
It can be, yeah. I think also it could just be the extension of who you are times 10 or something. I mean, certainly we don't talk in broadcast tones or diction when we're off the air. So to some degree, we're all performing if you're in this industry. But you're still who you are for the most part on the air, and I am who I am. I mean, our personalities are pretty much, and I'm only using that because we can relate to that, and our listeners, we're talking now as talk show hosts, but I'm talking about becoming a different thing. I mean, that's There's a danger in that.
Sure. Well, and again, yeah, not to be this thing.
No.
But I'd like to think that we try and stay grounded as to who we are when we're on the air. We're not.
I think that's the only relatable way to connect with an audience. I mean, these other guys have found ways to do that.
Yeah,
I couldn't do that. I don't know how to do that.
I don't take the position that I think the ACC made mistake. Because you took the opposite position.
Right. I believe in John Swafford, Tom.
That can't be beat.
It's the Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You put your mower through a lot. All that back and forth can add up to thousands of miles. That's like mowing cross country. Gravely commercial mowers are built for all-day performance, helping you get the job done mile after mile. Gravely, built to mow the distance.
Get your Gravely motor only at TNT Supercenter, your one-stop shop for work or play. 14585 Highway 19 South, Thomasville, Georgia. TNTSupercenter.com.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck, always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Hey, what other night should we stop by the fourth quarter?
It's Kim again. Join me Saturday and Sunday mornings for Bubbles and Brunch from 7 to 2. $18.99, all you can drink mimosas and Bloody Marys, and it includes breakfast.
Hey, Riss here. Come join me for lunch. We have over 20 lunch specials for just $7.50, and that includes a drink.
I'm Courtney. Visit me on Monday nights when we have 2-for-1 wells, calls, and domestic drafts all night.
Don't miss out on the girls of the fourth quarter. Pick your favorite night and stop in. Say hi to the girls at 2033 North Monroe Street, the fourth quarter bar and grill. Tallahassee's favorite hangout.
Today, there are over 47 million Ford vehicles on the road, rolling on over 188 million tires. That's a lot of rubber to trust to anyone other than a hardworking specialist at Ford Service. No one knows your Ford better than Ford and Ford Service.
Get a $140 rebate by mail on 4 select tires when you use the Ford Service credit card at the Big Tire event. Subject to credit approval, rebate by prepaid debit card. Other tire manufacturer rebate or offer cannot be combined with Ford Service credit card rebate or offer. See your participating Ford dealer for details through 6/30/17.
Memorial Day savings at the Home Depot mean you can really clean up. Save up to 40% on appliance special buys, like a Samsung high-efficiency top-load washer and steam electric dryer with platinum finish, just $648 each. You save over $500 on the pair. And just like that, Laundry Day got a whole lot better. Nobody beats our prices, guaranteed. With Memorial Day savings at the Home Depot. More saving, more doing. Valid through June 7th, U.S. only while supplies last. Gas dryer extra. See store for details.
Dude, are we on TV?
Yeah, they got the cameras in here now. They tell me it's not going to affect the way we do the broadcast. I haven't noticed it so far. Tom and I just talk and everything's all right.
But is it going to make me gain 10 pounds? They say you gain 10 pounds on TV.
No, that's the food. Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
This is the Jeff Cameron Show. Jeff Cameron Show. On 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. Libations Friday, loosey-goosey edition of the show. I love you guys because last night when the comeback was on and Florida State tied and then later took the lead in that game against Louisville, my Twitter feed reads, Busby with the tape measure dong.
All right, that's a big name.
Chris Wood wrote to me at Jay Cameron Show. Choo-choo? I had FSU baseball, two eyes over me. Jim Voiles, Carlton, the line, the whole deal. That's good. But it just makes me laugh that as these things are going on, there's a come and get you some. There's all. I'm like, all right, people are still wanting to invest.
Well, the message was heard, too. I think this also taps into something you spoke about as it relates to Louisville as an athletic program. You know, the proverbial meeting that needs to take place. All right, guys, they're here now. They're entrenched in the ACC, and they're doing some things.
Yeah.
But they're not tradition-laden like we are, especially in football. But let's quell this little Louisville slew
uprising,
of positive
if
news.
you will. Yeah.
Put it down.
There's been way too much of it, hasn't there? Bastards.
This was the first step, and I think the people feel that way.
Well, it's an interesting conversation to have about rivalries with our ownership of Miami and Florida and the way that we routinely just ask Miami to limber up. We largely discount their presence as they are insignificant and impotent to do anything about it. So when we take a look at some of the programs that aren't impotent, don't find themselves flaccid in the moment, we focus in on programs that where traditionally they hadn't been considered a rival. We focus on Clemson and Louisville and no doubt elevate them to the status that Miami and Florida once held.
I think it's fair to say that when the schedule comes out, the first thing we look for is when's the Clemson game and what's leading up to it. These last, 4 or 5 years? It's been that way.
Mm-hmm.
What do we have leading into Clemson? This year, I will admit, it was a little bit different. I was looking at the Louisville game and seeing who do we have leading into Louisville. And the schedule is quite friendly for Florida State going into the Louisville game.
Well, here's what I think, too, is with Louisville, the recognition, it's a credit to Louisville. The recognition that they're capable, it's not just some small uprising that we have to quell in the moment and go back to business, that the idea that this is going to be a sustained battle is duly noted for me. Because they're investing. Look at that stadium. Were you looking at that stadium last night? That's a nice place to play baseball, man. Now, unfortunately these days, I find that when Florida State's on the road in the ACC and I pull up the game to watch on my computer or my iPad or my phone or the many ways in which I get Comcast.
That's right. But
Xfinity.
But not the linear channel. That's not Comcast's fault because one doesn't exist.
2019, you can't pee on the ACC, my friend. The plan is moving forward.
I think we have a new T-shirt.
That's right. So
you could distribute that to Clemson fans after the championship last year.
You can't pee on the ACC. No. We're moving forward with our planned linear channel on ESPN or something along those lines. That's happening as guaranteed by the president of ESPN himself yesterday at the ACC spring meetings.
Swaffy talked to Skippy.
And Swaffy and Skippy got a good thing going. That marriage is healthy. So the point would be that when we're on the road, I note that, boy, that North Carolina's baseball stadium looks nicer than ours. And then I go, Louisville's baseball stadium looks nicer than ours. And then I go, well, damn it, NC State and Clemson's baseball stadiums look nicer than ours. And then I go, look at that, Virginia's baseball stadium is nicer than ours.
Well, yes, it has.
It is.
And it's in the blinding beauty of Charlottesville, Virginia.
You're damn right. But listen, I just easily rattled off 5-6 programs that have nicer baseball stadiums than we do. And they have not the tradition that we do. So, damn it, man. That needs to stop. That does. It's time to bulldoze the dick. I'm going to say it often. I'm going to bring it up. Annoyingly so, I might add, that you bulldoze that sucker, you make way for Jimbo's dream, and then you go over there to the intramural fields and we all walk out of the college town area feeling good about our evening and walk right into a baseball stadium. Brand new state-of-the-art baseball stadium, I might say.
Wreck the dick or wreck the new one.
Yeah, look at that. As brought to you by, that's pretty easy, right?
Late night sponsor.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I view Louisville as a problem for years to come because they're all in. They're all in, and they don't care about the rules. They're breaking them left and right. I'm alleging this. It's not verified. There's no validity to what I said necessarily.
Pay him. Pay that man his money.
But I think we all know. Come on now. 2 fingers to my eyes, 2 fingers back to you, Louisville. You know the deal. And you know what? You should wear it as a badge of honor. You're all in. Until you get caught, you do what you got to do. You do you. You make sure that you suddenly rise to that place. You just can't go 170 in a 70. Baylor, for example, with horrific outcomes that are not to be used as a punchline, appears to be a program that not only went 170 in a 70, but routinely just ran people over and kept going. I mean, they've got the kinds of problems you're not able to overcome. If you go 100 in a 70, you get a ticket, but you keep your license. You keep doing it, you don't. I don't know what they were doing at Baylor beyond the fact that, clearly they exceeded any boundary or any sort of agreed-upon level of sort of skirting the rules. What they did was heinous, and if all of what is alleged in these various lawsuits are real, they probably lose the license to participate in college sports, like maybe forever.
Yeah, that's the inhuman clause being kicked in there.
Yeah, well, we're done
But
there,
for the sake of the bid, how about Ole Miss as an example? Now, that's a program that went about 120, 125.
Yeah, they're not routinely or on a weekly basis accused of gang rape the way that Baylor is. But they're right up against the threshold of what we'd say seems to be reasonable and efforting to become an elite football program, right? I say bravo. If you are of insignificance, you would be described as such, I should say, insignificant in the world of college football, and that is where the money is made, and you are in a power conference like the SEC, and to overcome the likes of Alabama or LSU or Georgia, Florida, Tennessee, and any number of other uniquely qualified SEC schools to rank in that top 20, you got to do something different. You got to do something to break out and separate yourself so that people don't say same old sorry-ass Ole Miss, because that's what they say. Just like they say same old sorry-ass Kentucky, same old sorry-ass Vanderbilt. That's what people say, same old sorry-ass, Wake Forest. You got to do something. If I get the head job at Wake and I'm literally tasked with the responsibility of making us a perennial bowl team and competing to be a top 25 team, I have to cheat because it's not possible with the infrastructure that Wake Forest has.
We have a phone caller on the line. Apparently your comments have roused the attention of the president of Iowa State, who'd like to speak to you during the break about the athletic director's position.
About how things are going to work for the Cyclones. How about that Cyclone football? I'll get you turned around now. Well, I mean, I think what Ole Miss did, it depends on what the penalties are. When the penalties come down, when the fear is in the hearts of men in that athletic department that perhaps all of the rapid growth is undone with one fell swoop from the NCAA, which themselves have proven to be at times impotent, then maybe they'll reconsider. But if that's not what happens, if what happens is a fine that is easily payable and a few suspensions or a bowl miss, you're saying, all right, worth it. You freeze my dog.
The only time you can go 170 is if you're driving in a fully loaded Mercedes, you have a bow tie on, and you happen to be either a CFO of a major company or a lobbyist of some sort.
That's correct.
And that would be North Carolina. That's what they are.
Over and over again, Carolina. My God.
Yeah, what can you say, officer?
I've just got a lead foot.
I'm going to keep going because I know you need to get back in your car right now because you don't want to continue this conversation.
But I'll tell you what, Mr. Is it Smith, Officer Smith? I'll take note that you did a fine job executing your task as I do mine.
That's who they are. They can go 170.
It seems that way. Seems that way indeed. For prolonged periods of times, they've circumnavigated the globe. They've gone so fast for 20-plus years. Super light speed, just around and around like Flash.
Ludicrous speed.
Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You can tell a lot about a tractor by its warranty. That's why Mahindra makes the toughest tractors on earth. With steel, not plastic. Backed by the industry's best limited powertrain warranty, period. Not 5 years, not 6 years, but a full 7 years on select models. No wonder the other guys are green with envy.
No money down, 0% interest, and no payments until July. Available at TNT Supercenter.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck, always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios, this is 97.9 ESPN Radio, WTSM, Woodville, Thomasville, Tallahassee. Tallahassee Sports Center.
I'm Lee Gordon. Florida State Baseball's final road series of the year got off on the right foot last night. The Noles beat second-ranked Louisville 12-9 on Thursday. Florida State with 14 hits en route to the victory. Same two teams will do it again tonight at 6 o'clock. Softball opens up the regionals tonight at home. They'll take on Princeton. Game time there is 7 p.m. Well, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers now have a backup quarterback for Jameis Winston after they lost Mike Glennon to the Bears. They've signed veteran quarterback Ryan Fitzpatrick. Some of the NFL rookies are just starting to sign. The Jaguars have locked in Leonard Fournette. He's got a 4-year deal, fully guaranteed, with no offset language, no word yet on the value of that deal. NBA tonight, Cleveland and Boston in Game 2 of the Eastern Conference Finals. Cavs lead at 1-0 to none. The Western Conference Finals go at it again on Saturday. The Warriors and Spurs with Golden State up 2-0 to none.
Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio. It's Libations Friday, brought to you by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Corner Pocket Bar and Grill on Appalachian Parkway. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Jeff Cameron Show, at least for this week. Libations Friday edition of the program. Loosey-goosey as well. Thanks so much for tuning to it. Good mood today, as hopefully you all are. I'm Jeff, that's Tom. We're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you go to listen live via the streaming free always. You don't have to miss things, but you do sometimes. So do I. Typically, I don't miss this show, though. That'd be bad for me. All 3 hours posted both on iTunes and in our own audio vault. If that happens, go back, get caught up there. You'll find it. And you'll note that it is brought to you with limited commercial interruption. We have a fantastic podcast sponsor. His name is Carlton Dean. He works for Southland Commercial, SVN. Those guys showing you ways to make some money in commercial real estate. Make it very simple, very knowledgeable, resources, all that good stuff. Go find out more at carltondean.com. You can email the show if you want. It's jcs at 979espnradio.com. Go to Twitter and find me at jcameronshow. WTSM app, good for your mobile devices. Both iPhones and Androids work just fine with the WTSM app. And you can watch us perform the show. Go to YouTube and type in ESPN Tallahassee. So there it is. Florida State wins last night against Louisville. We kind of joked about what was, what seemed like would, happen if they go win this series. They offer you a little bit of hope where you should be devoid of it. And I kind of was hinting that I thought maybe they'll go win that game, which is ridiculous. Nobody scores against Louisville, and then we scored 12 runs.
Stick 'em in your mouth and suck 'em.
Yeah, and some of the numbers are just staggering. The highest run total allowed by Louisville all year long. First time they've lost a game this year when they went to the bullpen, either tied or with the lead. First time that's happened this year to them. It's also amazing to look at the top of our lineup. Our 1 through 5 hitters last night go 12 of 21 with 11 runs and 10 RBIs. Listen, the Brendan McKay kid, first career start against us, he went 6 1/3 inning, didn't give up a hit in his 3 starts since, 14 innings pitched, 19 hits, 13 runs, 10 earned, 8 walks. He has a whip of a 1.93 and ERA of 6.42. The staggering stats that you point to, they abound for this club. I mean, Quincy Neaporte himself is 8 for his last 9 over the last 2 games, went 5 for 5 in the home finale against Wake Forest on Sunday. His batting average has jumped to .303. He's had 3 doubles, are the most for a Seminole this season. He's recorded all 5 RBIs in the first 4 innings. He's a guy that just continues to be really good. The Noles, of course, had 14 hits against the Louisville team that has dominated the entirety of this conference from the pitching mound.
Stick 'em in your mouth and suck 'em.
5 of those runs given up by McKay last night were earned, 7 runs total, but 5 were earned. That's the most of his career.
Stick 'em in your mouth and suck 'em.
You know, we didn't pitch. We didn't pitch real well. Good on you, Jim Voiles, though. Inning 2/3, gave up just the 1 hit, got the strikeout, and ended up getting the win. But when you're down 3-1 through 2, and you tie it up and immediately give up 3 more, it's just sort of the same old broken record. You know, you get it to 3-3, now it's 6-3, and you go, are we just not going to pitch anymore? Is this what the deal is? Unless Holton's on the hill, we're just not going to pitch when we roll a starter out there.
Especially on a Friday, or in this case, the first game of the series being on a Thursday night.
Yeah, it's just really aggravating. And Cole Sands sucked again. And he does nothing but suck all the time.
Stick 'em in your mouth and suck 'em.
Just constant sucking. And I wish we'd stop rolling that suck machine out there because we can't get people out while he's on the hill. And it's very, very frustrating. Damn it, man.
So you're not going to rewrite the book on this team after a win over Louisville on a Thursday night. However, maybe we're beginning to understand that our bats can see good pitching, can hit on good pitching, and can put up runs. And that was the only path that we had envisioned heading into this series against Louisville, of any kind of grand expectations that we might have for Super Regionals, College World Series. It all started with, can the bats remain hot against good pitching? First real test on the road, because we're going to have to go on the road for the regional, has been passed with flying colors as you chase their best pitcher, one of the best pitchers in the country.
Yes, he had entered the game allowing just 17 runs in 80 innings. And he gave up 7 runs, 5 earned in 5 innings. Nobody literally has done that but us. The Louisville bullpen entered the game last night with a chance to win, and they're 20-0 on the season when that was the situation. Well, they didn't win.
This is only their 3rd loss at home all year, too.
Yeah, and it's our highest-ranked win on the season, and it's good news, pounding out 14 hits on the road against a team that can really, really, really pitch. Look, I said it in the first 2 hours. I'll mention it again constantly. I think our offense is formidable, and I think that they have a chance to win series because of it. It's that feeling about having a puncher's chance because they can score, and they walk a lot, and they're on base a ton. And they put a lot of pressure on teams, and even teams that pitch well and pick up the baseball and play great defense all year long. It's a college game. It's not the pros. These guys make mistakes, and if you keep putting guys on and putting college pitchers in situations where there's pressure, you hope that more often than not you'll break through. And Florida State did again last night. So Louisville hadn't given up 12 runs in a game this year. They had a team ERA of 2.60. But, look, FSU scored 16 and 12 runs against Louisville in the 2 wins we had against them last year in 2016, and they pitched last year too. So we'll hit Louisville pitching, and Mike Martin Jr. deserves an awful lot of credit with the adjustments made in the lineup and the approach to hitting against good pitching.
And a personnel adjustment is, since Red Applin can't play and is hurt, you put Holton into the lineup, and it looks like he's picking up where Applin left off, which is great. And obviously, if Cal keeps hitting, if he keeps coming on, I know he went 1 for 5, whatever it was on Sunday, but that one was a really important home run, big situation.
It was a dong.
It wasn't an A-Rod special in the latter part of A-Rod's career with the Yankees. And then he hits another big home run last night, part of a 2 for 5 night. If he starts hitting, because Walls has rectified his issues, if Cal starts hitting, then all of a sudden you have truly the lineup that can strike fear into a region's heart, into a super regional's heart.
Okay, you go on the road against the number 2 team in the country who pitches and pitches some more and really pitches and has a gaudy record and whose fans are geek for the series, and, they're handing out dollar beers and free food and everything else. Place is packed. They're excited about the game. And your starting pitcher is Cole Sands, and he promptly goes out there and gives up, 7 runs? And yet you come back to win that game on the road, win that series. I mean, that's a hell of a thing. I mean, win that game, excuse me. Give yourself a chance to win the series is what I meant to say. Yeah, man, that's doing some things, as I like to say. That is very, very impressive. Now, you ought not have to do that. You ought not have to come back time and again, but they did. And, listen, you got to give Voyles a lot of credit, too. At the time that he came into the game, you would not have thought that maybe he'd come in and pitch that way, but he did, just because he was going against, I think he went up against their 3, 4, 5 hitters in those moments. And Drew Carlton came in. Hey, how about that? We got something out of Drew Carlton last night.
A high-leverage situation.
That's right. Goes 3 innings, allows just the 1 run, got his 5th save of the year. All right, good to see you.
You were all in on it last night. You had a hunch. But now for me, as we sign off at the end of this hour, it's must-see TV. I have. This is a really big game because you have Holton on the hill. Here's your chance.
You can win the series.
To take this series. And then all of a sudden, maybe you have a little bit of mojo in that clubhouse, because the clubhouse has had the downtrodden, crestfallen look, perhaps, for much of the season.
Forlorn.
You go on the road. You go get this thing. You stay on the road. You go play Louisville some more for the ACC baseball tournament. Okay, maybe this is what we needed. I don't know. I'm just grasping at straws, and I'm hoping, and I'm being a fan. But, hey, if it works and we take 2 out of 3, then I know I'm going to claim on Monday that's precisely what we needed. It's what we needed all along. Go on the road, get a big road series win over a team like Louisville.
What do you think they do moving forward? How about that broken record, man? After every GD series we've played this year, I've had to ask the question, what are they going to do moving forward with their starting pitching? But, again, Sands allows 7 runs in 4 innings. That's a Friday night ace, allegedly, rolling out there, getting lit up again.
Air quotes.
I mean, you can't keep rolling him out there, can you? Listen, I'm sure he's a wonderful kid. This isn't personal. I'm just talking about he can't get people out right now. He sucks.
He has a 6.33 ERA in conference play after last night's performance.
So what are we doing?
We're rolling him out there every series.
Golly.
And you know who's pitching tomorrow? That'd be Mr. Parrish. So let's go get this one tonight.
Got to get this one tonight, Tom Lang. Got to get this one tonight. I mean, you got to get this one tonight. Kind of saying we got to get this one tonight. You know what I'm saying? It would behoove you to win here, this one here. Whole lot of nobody getting anybody out left out there after this guy tonight. The Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You put your mower through a lot. All that back and forth can add up to thousands of miles. That's like mowing cross country. Gravely commercial mowers are built for all-day performance, helping you get the job done mile after mile. Gravely, built to mow the distance.
Get your Gravely motor only at TNT Supercenter, your one-stop shop for work or play. 14585 Highway 19 South, Thomasville, Georgia. TNTSupercenter.com.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck, always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
$50 Amazon.com gift card after your first payment is made on time. To check your rates with no impact to your credit score and to get this special radio offer, go to Avant.com today and enter promo code 8080 when applying. That's AVANT.com, promo code 8080.
Don't start your day off with the same old boring breakfast. Stop by the Bagel Market and Bistro on Thomasville Road and the Persimmon Hills Shopping Plaza. They have fresh baked bagels and cream cheese every Monday for only $1.50. Green smoothies and great salads like the spinach apple salad. Muffins and cinnamon rolls are also options for breakfast. Sandwiches, salads, and more for lunch and dinner. Open 7 days a week. Check them out online at thebagelmarketandbistro.com or on Facebook and give them a call at 765-0598.
Today, there are over 47 million Ford vehicles on the road, rolling on over 188 million tires. That's a lot of rubber to trust to anyone other than a hardworking specialist at Ford Service. No one knows your Ford better than Ford and Ford Service.
Get a $140 rebate by mail on 4 select tires when you use the Ford Service credit card at the Big Tire event. Subject to credit approval, rebate by prepaid debit card. Other tire manufacturer rebate or offer cannot be combined with Ford Service credit card rebate or offer. See your participating Ford dealer for details through 6/30/17.
Memorial Day savings at the Home Depot mean you can really clean up. Save up to 40% on appliance special buys, like a Samsung high-efficiency top-load washer and steam electric dryer with platinum finish, just $648 each. You save over $500 on the pair. And just like that, Laundry Day got a whole lot better. Nobody beats our prices, guaranteed. With Memorial Day savings at the Home Depot. More saving, more doing. Valid through June 7th, U.S. only while supplies last. Gas dryer extra. See store for details.
Barry knows cool, he's keeping you comfortable. Barry knows cool, you can put him to the test.
Spring is the perfect time to be outdoors enjoying the fresh air with friends and family. It's also the right time to make sure your air conditioning system is ready for the hot summer. Turn to the experts at Carrier and Barano Heating and Air to learn more about your financing options for every budget. Visit us today at baranoac.com. License number CAC 057652.
If you're struggling to pay or haven't been making your student loan payments, listen carefully to this urgent alert. Have you been out of school for 10 or more years and you're still making your student loan payments? Are your student loans past due or even in default? Can't go back to school because of an old student loan problem? We can help you if you qualify. Your student loans can be taken out of default. We can stop the wage garnishments, stop the collection calls, and stop the seizure of your tax refund. Give yourself a break. Stop the stress and see if we can help you reduce your student loan payments. One quick 10-minute call could solve them right now. So call the Student Loan Helpline now. 800-419-2201, 800-419-2201, 800-419-2201. That's 800-419-2201. This is a fee-based document preparation service to help you access free government programs. Call for complete details, not available in all states.
You're listening to The Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Aviation's Friday loosey-goosey edition of the Jeff Cameron Show actually gives way in this moment to a heartening and smile-inducing story. And it's all part of our moments where we're able to provide a little shelter from the storm.
Come in, she said, I'll give ya shelter from the storm.
Shelter from the Store brought to you by Parker Brothers Roofing and Construction. My roof was put on by the fine folks at Parker Brothers. They were pros. They were efficient. They were quick, and they were friendly. I strongly recommend going to see Parker Brothers Roofing and getting their service to work for you. If you need a new roof, give them a call today. If you want, 850-656-8112. Every now and then, this is when we have the opportunity, we find stories that certainly don't belie the usual day-to-day news cycle, which is a lot of, I hate you, you hate me, this guy shot that guy, this is how we treat each other these days. And so when you get something good, when you have that moment to remind yourself that people, for the most part, are good and do good things on a daily basis, only we don't read about it enough, then we try to find that and execute this little segment here. This is how it reads. It's a little lengthier than the ones we've done in the past, but I want you to hear the story. It also happens to involve a Lakewood High School graduate. And as you may or may not know, I went to Lakewood High School and I'm also a Lakewood High graduate. We do great things, Tom Lang, these Lakewood High graduates.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Bernard Reedy is the one that is doing great things this time around. It's not me, William Floyd, or Tommy Carter, Pat Terrell, Lewis Murphy. This time it's Bernard Reedy.
Well, Lewis Murphy did bring the gun to the airport.
He did. And I didn't ignore it.
Listen, man, I can't really talk. I had Riley Cooper. So,
Well, yeah, you lose on that one.
Just don't let him.
You lose on that
Stop
one.
filming Riley Cooper at a country music concert. What are you doing?
Just before 11:30 a.m. on a Friday morning, Bernard Reed gets a buzz on his phone with an address. It's for a client who needs Reedy to pick him up. The 25-year-old Reedy climbs into a large white van, heads down U.S. Highway 19. It will be the first of several pickups for a rather unique off-season job for an NFL wide receiver. Working as a car driver, Care Ride, Tampa area company providing wheelchair and ambulatory transport. How cool is that, right? So this guy who, yes, happened to go to Lakewood High School, also plays for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And this is what he does when he's not playing for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Care Ride is similar to Uber or Lyft, but it's for people who are in wheelchairs. Drivers must receive special training to operate lifts in the vans, properly secure the patients. They must be first aid and CPR certified and undergo sensitivity training as well. Reedy, you may not have heard of, understandably. He's trying to stick currently with my beloved Buccaneers after he had a stint with the Atlanta Falcons. He pulls up to a quiet mobile home park in Largo. Largo's a toughie, by the way.
Yes, it is.
He greets his first client of the day, Carlos Velez, who is waiting under a carport. Velez is 70 years old. He fought both in Korea and Vietnam and is now confined to a wheelchair. He still has some walking ability, but he fell last year. He suffered a hematoma, and it forced him to undergo brain surgery. A wheelchair now helps him get around. Is that your motorcycle, Reedy asks, as he gently pushes Velez towards the van. Velez responds, I used to have one, but I sold it because of my vision. Points to his right eye. I'm legally blind. Reedy says, I like motorcycles. Have you ever ridden a dirt bike? Velez responds, back home in Puerto Rico when I was young, I always had a Honda. The last Honda I had was a 1300. These two have ridden in the van together before. Their conversations are usually centered around the weather, politics, restaurants, and how Velez is feeling physically. Sometimes Velez airs out his frustrations with the Department of Veteran Affairs. Despite their many conversations, Velez forgot that Reedy is an NFL player. Most of his clients have no idea, and why would they? Most NFL players don't have side jobs like Reedy's. Only a few of his Bucs teammates know about his other gig. It pays him $11 an hour. All my other teammates, they know that I personally talk to, they all caked up. They all got money, whole lot of money, says Reedy, who has $465,000 base salary with the Bucs for this season, but it's not all guaranteed. When I get to that tax bracket with them, I'm going to continue to work here during the offseason. You always want to be grateful. By the way, did you know the phrase caked up meant wealthy?
No, I did not know that.
Well, you learned something new there.
I would have thought like it was puckered up, like you pucker in a situation when you recoil.
Right.
Yeah.
No, caked up, cash.
Okay.
Doing all right for themselves. Bernard Reedy hopes to stick with the Bucs as a receiver and a returner. When the Falcons waived Reedy in 2015 and he had trouble landing with another team, he moved back to St. Petersburg, back into his childhood home. Helped ease the burden of having to pay rent, and it allowed him to continue to train while looking for work. The money in your savings is only going to last so long, says Reedy. I had to go out and get a job so I could continue to live. You want to always have something you fall back on. If you don't work, you don't have any more income, so it's just decreasing. You've got to find a way to make some money. As an undrafted free agent out of Toledo, Reedy had spent the entire 2014 season on the Falcons practice squad, earning him $108,600 according to the NFLPA records. But in 2015, he took part in only OTAs. He made $6,240 from football. That's how unpredictable the NFL can be for a player like Reedy. He spent the entire 2015 season at Care Ride, working 8-hour shifts 5 days a week, including Sundays. He didn't listen to NFL games on the radio because that was just too hard. You know, that's a hard thing. If you think about a dream that you're pursuing and the work that goes into being a football player, not just the lifting of the weights and all that stuff, but, I mean, those guys get used to getting hit. Those guys get used to being in, as they say, football shape. I always marvel, this is just a quick aside, at people who take a year away from a game like, and I'm talking about at the highest level, professional football, and then find their way back into the game. It's just not that easy. I mean, you know from playing hockey, you know from anybody who's ever competed in something, you get into that game's shape where you can take hits, where the body stops aching in certain ways. But then you go back a year later after not doing it.
Well, I think basketball is a great example of that, too. You can be in all kinds of shape cardiovascularly, but then you get on the basketball court, you're running up and down the court. I mean, there's nothing you could do. Even suicides don't do it justice when you play basketball,
Yeah,
you know?
It's nuts. In February 2016, he signed a futures contract with the Bucs, reuniting with head coach Dirk Koetter and defensive coordinator and former Falcons coach Mike Smith. Reedy suffered a torn meniscus in the preseason and was waived. He re-signed with the Bucs practice squad after he healed in December. It was on the 53-man roster for 2 games, earning $85,879, according to NFLPA records. That's amazing. 2 games, you make that much money, and he's making the minimum.
Just address, he didn't even get any targets in those 2 games.
That figure does not include an injury settlement. When I get to that tax bracket, it cracks me up. He says, I'm going to continue to work here during the offseason, as he said before. Through it all, Care Ride has been accommodating with the NFL schedule, allowing him to work 3 days a week in the offseason. Now that the Bucs are into offseason conditioning, he's at the team facility 4 days a week, cuts back to once a week or every other week with Care Ride. When it's the regular season, the focus is 100% on football. But if football isn't in the picture, he can work more shifts. They know that my other job is like a dream come true, so that comes first, Reedy says. Of Care Ride, they understand. A lot of them like sports that work there. I could still see me doing this after football. I'm financially stable enough now that I could be okay if I didn't do this, but why sit home after you're done working out, going over plays and stuff? Why sit home when you can come out here and make some more money and help people? I'm talking about really helping people who simply can't help themselves. Football isn't entirely forgotten when Reedy is on the job. If there's a lull between pickups, he'll pull over to study his playbook or read the Bible. He also turns the van into a portable gym. I'll put my feet up on the seat, do some incline push-ups and such, then I go and do dips over there. Bernard Reedy checks his phone for his next pickup from the dispatch. The NFL is a brutal business, and Reedy says he knows it. You can get injured or cut at any moment, but it pales in comparison to the hardships that these clients of mine have. That keeps me grounded. A lot of people, you may think you're sacrificing a lot until you hear somebody else's story, and when you pick up the same people every week, you get attached to them. That makes it difficult when they pass away. He still thinks about Michael Banks and Robert Latanza. I used to talk about muscle cars with those guys. He used to build engines. Latanza, who died a year ago, was my dog. That's what we called each other. That was my dog. He left cards at the doorsteps after they passed, sharing some of the stories he was told on their trips together. Bernard Reedy enjoys his side job and plans to continue doing it, even if he's lucky enough to land a big NFL contract someday. It's the level of compassion that endears Reedy not just to his clients, but also his co-workers. He's one of the youngest employees we've ever hired, says Vince Cooks, his boss. He's done a wonderful job. The two have known each other since Reedy was 16 years old when Cox and his wife would attend Reedy games at Lakewood High School. He remembers the time Reedy won the game against Countryside High School in 2009, ran back a kickoff 96 yards. But there's not much more to Reedy than football. Cox makes that clear. Even though sometimes he has to bolt off the practices and can't work for months at a time, he's an asset to us. He's very personable. We get calls from our clients saying how good and how polite and how safe he is. And he takes the time with them, talks with them. We hope he does well over there with the Bucs. Naturally, we'd like him to have him here, but we want him to be able to play football too. So that's Shelter from the Storm, and that is a really cool story. That's what you like to read about, and it's also something that I must say, if you seek out these kinds of stories in each of the markets and you look for guys that make up these rosters, you'll find that is actually more the norm. Maybe not to this extent, but the kind acts and the people doing things off the field in the offseason, they are very, very frequent. We just don't get to read those stories near enough, but you can find them.
Agreed. And, there's one often subject that comes up with my dad and I, and we talk about how in his youth, his growing up days in Brooklyn, the Dodgers would live in his neighborhood. They'd be in different places.
You just see him walking around.
And they were normal guys. Well, that's what practice squad players are. You know what I mean? If you make the practice squad, you stick on it, you heard the records, you make $100,000.
Yeah.
But there is no guarantee. And what happens above you with the 53-man roster greatly impacts what they need on a practice squad. So they might let you go even though you're doing everything fine.
Yeah.
But another guy gets healthy or somebody gets hurt at the defensive end position, so they need to bring in another guy to the practice squad when they elevate somebody who's an edge rusher because they need to have the reserves. You just never know. And if you look at what the Bucs did this offseason, the wide receiver depth chart is now chock full of brand new assets. Hopefully he finds a niche to at least continue to be on the practice squad and making a check. But I know what he's done, though. You talk about this every time you bring up a cause or bring up something somebody's doing for a particular charity or organization. The PR that he just got, the awareness of this particular service has gone through the roof, and he's done them more good now by having this story circulate throughout the country than he could have possibly done helping people one-on-one. And that's an amazing thing, too.
Well, and I want to give credit. In fact, it's to carry on that theme here. He didn't seek the attention. He wasn't the guy. Bernard Reedy was not the guy. I mean, he hadn't even really told his teammates this, right? Jenna Lane wrote this story. She works for ESPN and covers the Bucs. She found out about it and then pursued the story. You noted that even within the story, his boss said that he doesn't tell the clients or people like that he plays in the NFL unless it comes up naturally in the course of conversation. They ask him what else he does. He's not one of these guys seeking the attention. So that's just really cool. I like to see it happen that way.
Yeah, I'm glad that there was a feature written about this particular story because if you recall when you were talking to Lee DeKemper from JoeBucksFan.com during the season, he was listing off the options at receiver, and we're being cold-blooded football fans. He goes, that guy pushes around old people in wheelchairs in the offseason.
Yeah, and we didn't
And he's
know.
made the roster.
Yeah.
But here's the full story, and it's a much more bright story than one would think.
Oh, it's a great story. Yeah, it's one that will see me and you and just about anybody who cares about people rooting for a guy like that to make a team. I mean, he doesn't have to be a big-time difference maker, but if he warrants it and he makes the team, we'll be smiling ear to ear every Sunday knowing that guy's dressed out making good money. You root for guys like that to make good money because they'll put it to good use, and after their playing days are over, he may end up helping that facility out financially as well. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You can tell a lot about a tractor by its warranty. That's why Mahindra makes the toughest tractors on earth. With steel, not plastic. Backed by the industry's best limited powertrain warranty, period. Not 5 years, not 6 years, but a full 7 years on select models. No wonder the other guys are green with envy.
No money down, 0% interest, and no payments until July. Available at TNT Supercenter.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough, I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in Southern Georgia.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin, Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
All the moments you'll never forget. The Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, 2475 Appalachian Parkway. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Parker Brothers Roofing says don't play games with your roof. Protect your home and your family. The Parker Brothers tell you the truth. We'll fix your roof, 'cause it's what we do. With quality, integrity, and pride. Parker Brothers Roofing, professional every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
Customers constantly tell us that they're getting several estimates to compare apples to apples. You ever bite into an apple and find out the inside is rotten? Cheap roofing quotes are just like that rotten apple. Quote looks shiny and delicious because it's the cheapest, right? But you wind up with that rotten apple that leaks or starts to fail immediately. All roofing quotes are not equal. Cheap estimates equal cheap materials, subpar labor, or both. For quality that lasts, call us at 656-8112.
Parker Brothers Roofing, professional every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
License number CCC 049350.
The City of Tallahassee Utilities reminds you that it'll be summertime before you know it, and summer's when we all benefit from positive environmental practices like saving energy, water, and money. Because after all, it's all connected. When your home is energy efficient, you save money on your utility bill, but you also help the environment because using less energy saves precious natural resources. Here are a few simple tips. Easy things you can do to use less energy. In the summertime, set your AC thermostat to 78 degrees and even a little higher when you're away from home. You'll be amazed at the money you'll save. Close shades, drapes, and blinds during the day. It keeps the house a lot cooler. Choose the proper AC fan setting. Put it on auto, not on. Auto saves energy. On runs continuously, and that runs into money. And while you're at it, schedule a free energy audit with the City of Tallahassee Utilities to identify low-cost and no-cost ways to make your home more energy efficient. You'll save energy, water, and money, and you'll help the environment too, because after all, it's all connected. A message from the #1 public utility in America. Learn more at talgov.com/YOU.
Don't just listen to The Jeff Cameron Show. Watch it live. The Jeff Cameron Show Streamcast. Live weekdays 3 to 6 p.m. Head to ESPNTallahassee.com today to watch live or catch up on demand. The Jeff Cameron Show Streamcast. Brought to you by Nice Tire and Auto, your trusted Goodyear dealer. 574-4100. And presented by TNT Supercenter in Thomasville, Georgia. And Franklin Spring Creek Ford. This Day in Sports, brought to you by Superlube. Superlube, 19 Tallahassee area locations. Quick, convenient, no appointment necessary.
This day in sports history. May 19th, 1994. 18-year-old tennis star Jennifer Capriati entered a rehab clinic. She was arrested earlier in the month for possession of marijuana. Capriati went pro at 14 and made it to the finals in her first tournament. She would bounce back to win her first Grand Slam in 2001 when she won the Australian Open.
We lead busy lives. That's why Superlube offers quick and convenient service with no appointment necessary at any of our 19 area locations. And remember, Superlube offers a free top-off service between oil changes, checking and topping off fluids, and tire pressure. But did you know that right now when you buy one wiper blade, you get one free, just in time for Tallahassee's rainy season? Superlube it every 3 months or 3,000 miles.
How I love to Superlube my car, yes sir!
Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio. It's Libations Friday, brought to you by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Corner Pocket Bar and Grill on Appalachian Parkway. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Man, I just pulled up probables, and I realized that my Pirates are taking on Matthews Phillies, and he gets the benefit of us throwing Trevor Williams to start the series. That'll hurt your feelings. You lose that game, you won't win one.
Never heard of Trevor Williams.
None of us should have. It's not going to be good.
Sounds like a guy who sells motocross bikes.
Trevor Williams does?
Trevor Williams, yeah.
That's an interesting way. I've not thought of anybody that would be pegged specifically with a name for that job. Like if you had just said, so you said motocross bikes?
Yeah. So
if you just said like outdoor, like, like one of those shops that have those four-wheelers.
Sure,
and
yeah.
all those, if you'd said something like that, but specifically.
Well, he works in the motocross department of that store.
I see.
You need a new Suzuki,
This is your guy.
Go see Trevor Williams.
You ever been on a four-wheeler?
The ATVs?
Yeah.
Can't say I have, no.
Yeah, people die on those things all the time, I know. I mean, literally all the time. I mean, those stories abound. We know that.
It just seems like a bad idea.
It does. I've been on one hauling ass before and thought the whole time I was on it, this is probably not good.
All you need to hit is one little bump,
Well, it depends. I mean, they are fun. but have you? Well, yeah, you lived in New York. You've gone snowboarding, and I mean,
what is it? Snowmobile?
Snowmobiles.
No.
Oh, no, those are fun.
No,
those are real fun.
Incoming bourgeois alert. But when I was a kid, my parents had a place in the Catskill Mountains, a small little A-frame shack.
Yeah.
With a nice little hill, and my sisters learned how to ski and all that kind of stuff.
But you missed out.
I missed out.
That's a shame because I'll tell you something. That's a lot of fun. Skiing is fun. Snowmobiling's fun. Snowboarding's fun. All that's a lot of fun. I think you'd like it, Tom.
I've never skied nor snowboarded.
Have you ever water skied?
No.
What in the world is going on with you and skis?
Anytime I have
apparently nothing.
No, if I have outdoor time, I go to the golf course. That's me.
But you never,
No, not a whole lot of water sports. Never went tubing or anything like that. No. Kayak. I'll go in a kayak and I'll explore.
But you would ski, right?
I don't see why not.
Yeah. If somebody said, hey, I've got the boat this weekend, we're going skiing, you wouldn't say no to that.
I'd be nervous, but, I'd probably give it a go.
You'd love it, buddy.
I have the luck where I'd, end up breaking my hip or something like that.
You wouldn't break your hip. I've been around you long enough to know you can ski. You'd be all right. It's not what you think. It's fun. It's a lot of fun. Now I want you to go skiing because I don't want you to go through this life without having skied. It's a lot of fun.
Water skiing is what you're talking about.
Yeah. Well, both of them are fun. But, you're not uncoordinated. You'd be able to – it's not that.
You ever go wakeboarding?
I have gone wakeboarding, yeah. That's fun.
You ever do the flippity-doos in the air?
I'm not that good. I'm not that good. I've only done it about a handful of times, so I'm not those guys who did it every weekend. They can do all the flippity-doos.
Yeah.
I've tried to do the flips. I went flying off. It doesn't hurt, though.
It seems unnecessary.
It's fun, but it doesn't hurt. You know what's fun is getting on one of those big-ass tubes with you and a buddy. Like they make them big enough to have 4 people on a tube. So you're just bouncing over waves. Well, eventually those flip too.
Yeah, I've done that at a water park, and it didn't seem very safe. It was one that was fit for 4 to 6 people, or for people who go to theme parks 3. And it went down the slide, and it's vertical. You're perpendicular to the ground. That doesn't seem to be that
Well, on a water slide, it's different because if you fall off, you're busting your ass. But in a lake or an ocean,
but I mean, it's a water slide that's 50 feet in the air as it goes down, and you get to see over the edge and stuff.
It makes you nervous. Made you nervous. Yeah. You wouldn't be nervous if I got you on a big boat with some buddies and we were out there on the ocean hauling ass, skiing. You'd love that. You'd love it. Or a lake. You'd have fun. That's fun. I tell you what's fun was when I was trying to learn how to ski on just one ski. You get foot behind the other foot.
Yeah.
That, you better lock your core in. You better lock it up.
Because you're going to face plant?
Yeah, you'll go over.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it just seems like a whole lot of unnecessary stuff.
Doesn't hurt, or you'll go off to the side. Either way, you just got to lock it in.
But I will say, and Matthew's been there before a couple weeks ago, maybe
Lake
a month ago.
Blackshear.
Yes, that calls my name every time I drive to Atlanta, and I look to the right and to the left.
It looks awesome.
It does.
Well, Christy and I are talking about renting a place out on the lake. Maybe we'll just have a big party.
In Lake Blackshear?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I've had the same conversation driving back last week from Atlanta. I said,
well, here's what's going to happen.
I want a weekend getaway at Lake Blackshear.
You've never been on a wave runner either, have you?
No.
Now that you would be fine with. That's fun as hell. They're all fun. I always tell the story.
I have. I've been on one of those.
Those are fun. And the newer ones are even better.
It was forever ago.
We got to do it. Maybe this summer. Seriously.
Sounds good to me.
Cooler full of beer.
Yeah.
You bring your woman. It'll be me and Christy. We'll load that sucker up and ride out on the lake.
There it is, man.
It's good times.
Yeah. Have a cookout.
All right, let's do this. Let's do probables. That sounds good, too. And we call it a night. Get ready to watch Florida State take the series against Louisville. I was joking yesterday with you about this. I said there was something in the air. Something felt weird. Like, watch these a-holes go over there and win this series.
I never called them a-holes. That was you. However, when we go up to Louisville, as a program, when our athletic program goes up to Louisville, I'm never going to doubt whatever feelings you have, because you were right about the blowout
getting us killed
in football, and you're right that there's something odd going on right now, because now you're up a game in the series.
You can win the series tonight.
You got Holton pitching.
I know, but I don't want to get carried away with this. But I know, because remember, we had that same situation once before here against Virginia.
Sure, but this is one thing that, I was lamenting on Monday. You'd like to play from ahead, not just within the framework of a game, which we didn't last night.
We continue to roll Sands out there.
But, yeah, how about the 7th spot in 4 innings? We talked about that, of course. But I'm talking about within the framework of a series. What a refreshing feeling it must have been last night for that team to go to sleep up 1-0 in a baseball series.
Well, and to go up there and get that win against a team that doesn't give up runs and to hammer that guy again. Look, I've talked about it all afternoon on today's show, and when they're bad, I tell you guys that I think they're bad. And when they don't do things right, I rip them for not doing it right. So it's not me just being a homer here. Let me just say one more time. If a guy's trying to make a case for, to build a resume to be the guy, Mike Martin Jr.'s got a lot of evidence that he knows what the hell he's doing, because the only element he coaches on this team is their offense, and they hit and they score runs every year. Everything else on this team is a mess. The one thing he does, they do well, and they just did it very well on the road against a guy who's going to be the player of the year, who gets everybody out. This is what they do.
Once again, you hope that tonight Holton continues what we saw last week. But this doesn't change any descriptors about the team. We said if they're going to go anywhere, the bats are going to take them there. And that's exactly what happened last night.
Well, and I will say this, and it has me intrigued, and this is why we were kidding around for the last week and a half, maybe 3 weeks, really just talking about what slim hopes they have to make some sort of postseason run. But when we were trying to grasp one measure of hope, right, when we tried to reach out and just say, well, is there one thing that could happen that is plausible, that's realistic, and could see them go and win some big games? It was the offense, and we both alluded to it. But what I'll say about that is this. We've seen teams come in here against a Florida State team that can pitch, and those teams were touted as being offensive-minded, very aggressive with the bats, put pressure on you defensively. It's intimidating. Indiana with Kyle Schwarber rolled in here, and they're hitting tape measure dongs. And we're watching BP, if you recall. You remember this?
Sure, yeah.
We're watching BP.
Hyper covered the hell out of that series. I was doing some work for War Chant on the side.
Well, what I remember is watching BP and going, well, every one of these guys are hitting the ball over the circus tent. I mean, I know it's batting practice, but we're not doing that. And so I remember I texted after that series was over, Mike Martin Jr., and I said, listen, man, you may scoff at me, but I watched BP, and that team came out here swinging out of their shoes, and that carried over onto the field. They all believe they're going yard when they swung like it. There's a confidence in the box that they have. And I think
if you're a lefty, you come to this ballpark, you go, really?
Really?
Okay.
Well, and I'll tell you something. If you go into the box believing that you're going to hit and you play that way with that uber confidence, that's intimidating. Now, in the majors, it's overcome by a guy throwing 98 who couples up with a beautiful changeup and a slider away, and that's your ass, and they're not worried about your feelings or anything else. It's professional. I'm good. You're good. I got it. Here you go. Here's my best stuff. There aren't that many good pitchers in college. They're in college for a reason. They're not. So I know during the course of a long season, the resume could say that you pitch well. Louisville does, time and again. But if you face a hot team with the bat and a team that believes, and they've hit everybody all year long, and they've scored runs, and they have a game plan, and they believe in it, and they go out, and a few guys start hitting, it's a here we go again mentality. We've watched it happen.
It's just funny to think about that series in retrospect. And I remember doing the post-game interviews, and Schwarber came in. I said, after the early win in the weekend, and I go, well, they got a guy that's like DJ too. He's kind of stocky, and he hits the ball well. Well, okay. I guess they got them one of those.
Yeah.
No. They've got Kyle Schwarber.
Yeah.
DJ Stewart was a really, really good player.
That's Kyle Schwarber.
But that dude is playing every night in the bigs already.
And
playing
and
well.
Yeah. He mashes. All right, here we go. Let's do these probables. I said I was going to. I should probably do that before we say goodnight.
It's time for, how you say, with the pitching, probables?
Phillies and Pirates, Jeremy Hellickson. That'd be Jeremy Hellickson for those who speak fluently. Trevor Williams goes for the Pirates. Most unfortunate.
When you need a Suzuki.
Blue Jays, Orioles, Aaron Sanchez, Chris Tillman. We've got Rockies, Reds, Tyler Anderson. And Lisaverto Bonilla. I like that name. This is this dude's first Major League start since 2014. Huh? What the hell's been going on with him? Angels, Mets, Ricky Nolasco, Jacob deGrom.
Ricky Nolasco.
Still in the league. By the way, Jacob deGrom likes to walk people, apparently. 4 per 9 innings, 68% higher than his career average. What's going on with all the walks?
Everybody was focusing on all the strikeouts. I think he's fallen in love with it because his ERA has gone north. But everybody said, oh, double-digit strikeouts. I'm saying, no, that's another 3 runs in 6 innings. Let's curb that and pitch to contact. We have a huge ballpark.
It's definitely 6 innings. It's not 7 innings. He has never made a 7-inning start this year.
We haven't. I don't think we've had a starter recorded out in the 7th inning in 17, 18 games. Something crazy like that.
Yankees, Rays, Luis Severino, and Erasmo Ramirez.
Asmo!
My man. Rangers, Tigers, Nick Martinez, Daniel Norris.
Mo ass.
Nats, Braves, Gio Gonzalez, R.A. Dickey. 42 years old, out there knuckling. Indians, Astros, Trevor Bauer, Charlie Morton. Charlie freaking Morton struck out 10 batters his last outing. Charlie Morton has turned into Cy Young. He sucked for a decade in Pittsburgh. This is wrong. I used to be the guy that would go, freaking Morton's on the hill tonight. The Astros were like, Charlie Morton's on the hill tonight. Ridiculous. Royals, Twins, Nate Carnes, Hector Santiago.
Hector Salamanca.
Giants, Cardinals, Matt Moore, Michael Waka. He came in here and was dealing one time. College. Red Sox, A's, Chris Sale, Kendall Graveman. D-backs, Padres, Tawan Walker, and Jared Weaver. We got White Sox, Mariners, Jose Quintana, Ariel Miranda. I met a guy the other night. Went in to get some food, and guy came up to me and said, I really love the show. I said, well, I appreciate that. Thank you so much for listening. It's good to meet people who listen to the program and like it. He said, yeah, I really love probables. I said, what? He goes, it's just ridiculous. It's awesome you guys do probables. You don't even give a damn. And I go, that's true. He goes, it's just ridiculous. I smile every time I hear it.
It's comforting to know it's there.
I like it, too. I thought we were the only 2 people that liked it.
It's comforting from a content standpoint to know it's there, but it's comforting, every day.
Yeah, I like
They're
just
getting some
knowing.
goofy names.
Yeah, it's fun to do. White Sox, Mariners, I just said that. Jose Quintana, Ariel Miranda. We got Marlins, Dodgers, Justin Nicolino. Alex Wood. That's a look at those that shall reside on the bump. Oh, nicely timed, T. Lizzie. Cue the out, and let's have a weekend, shall we? Good work out of you. Good work, Matthew. And I hope we kick the hell out of your Phillies. Good on you, everybody. Go Noles. Hopefully on Monday we're talking about a series that inexplicably the Noles went and won against Louisville, which they might do, and we kind of thought maybe they would in a weird, I don't know. Now watch. My gut on that was that they had a chance to go do that, and then my gut was also that they won't play well in the ACC tournament, and I think both are going to be correct.
So you think they win tonight, or is it this
No,
a
I
10-2 Louisville response, and you go, oh, okay.
I have no idea. If we don't win tonight, we're not winning the series.
All right. So you think we're winning the series. Your gut feeling says we're winning the series.
It's got to be tonight.
And it's got to be tonight. All right, so
there it is.
Pencil it in.
Let's watch.
Call up your bookies.
Let's do it. Let's make it happen. That's right. Encourage gambling. Peace, everybody. Have a great weekend.